Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday. How's everyone doing? Hoping your week's going well so far. Almost Thanksgiving here in the States. I'm excited to eat some food for that. How's everyone else doing? Hope you're doing well. Went down a little too much, I think. There we go. How's everyone on YouTube doing? Hello Lanterns Glow, Densetsu, Rob P, Mia Tatami 2000, and Just a Peach. If you could on YouTube, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, it helps out. How's everyone on Twitch doing? Phoenix Leftist, Jay's a Proxy, ooh, Globits, Feisty as Bard, Moss Sloth, Isaac Inanimate, Midnight Wolf, Phoenix Leftist, Overthought, Jay's a Proxy, Trey, Lucas Dawn, and of course all the lurkers. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. We have tons of conspiracy content to look at today and debunk and talk about why people believe it. Maybe have a laugh or two. Should be good. We are playing bingo, so get your cards ready if you want to play Tinfoil Tuesday bingo. First person to win and have a confirmed bingo gets a Twitch gift sub, specifically for them or anyone else. I haven't figured out what to do for the YouTube members yet, basically. For the YouTube people. Because you can't gift specific memberships to people on YouTube. So I guess you just, if you're on YouTube, it's the glory of the game. Halloween Town says just dreading Thursday. Family. Because yeah, that's probably going to be a yikes for a lot of people with certain relatives of a certain political persuasion. By the way, we're still not doing politics today. There's nothing overtly political that I picked intentionally. So we should be good there. Phoenix Leftist, thanks for a 240 stream streak. Almost a quarter of a way to 1,000. If you want to help support the stream today, I'd appreciate using the tip link, or rather the tip command, !tip, both on YouTube and Twitch. Basically that way I get the money instead of some of it going to Jeff Bezos, which is always nice. So if you want to help support the stream, use that, helps pay bills, get some food for Thanksgiving, stuff like that. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into it, shall we? This first thing we have is, oh boy, a parody music video. Do you all like Weird Al? Imagine if Weird Al was just a flat earther hack. Does anyone like the Humpty Dumpty? Because this is a parody of the Humpty Dumpty rap song about flat earth. Flat earth on the bingo card. The Humpty Dance, yeah.
Alright, start your booing, cause I'm about to ruin the heliocentric model that you used to. It looks funny, but NASA's making money, see? So NPCs, I hope you're ready to see. They say it's round, but you can't tell from the ground, and the sun only looks like it's going down. I'll tear up all the evidence you got on your shit.
My job blessings always work, Jaden, as long as you don't count all the times it didn't work. And that's how we should count it. Helps me out.
And expose all the proof that I see myself. NASA's grumpy. The first pilot was a monkey. Yo, ladies, why is your hair so frumpy? And all you CGI fanboys, please allow me to trump thee. It's not a ball, y'all. Just like Humpty Dumpty, it's gonna crack like Joe Biden's bad knee. I'm in my prime, a little bit chunky. I'm a junkie. I keep the flat earth funky. I'm done with this. Globe versus flat. The drama's so ridiculous, it's getting really hard to be conspicuous. Hey yo, flat girl, you know the globe is gibberish, yeah, you know it's flat, but NASA says it's spinning. But it never caused me to get busy, I'm a geek. I love staring at the moon.
I also like that this is kind of, I don't know, it's a little view into the world of whoever made this and what they found. Like, there had to be a moment where they sat down and thought, what hit song should I parody? Because it needs to be relatable, it needs to be something people want to listen to. And they went with the Humpty Dance.
It's not a dusty ball.
An interesting pop cultural touchstone. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub to AstroFox9.
In an infinite vacuum, I'm pasty, like biscuits and gravy. You hate winter, but it just don't faze me. All your globers do is tap dance, it's a psychopathic romance. Don't be a NASA punk, come on, don't be a Jackson chunk.
Don't be a NASA punk.
Don't be a NASA punk or a Jackson chunk. Yeah, do you know what they're doing? They're doing the cog dysfunk. Don't be a
The
NASA
cog dysfunk, as in cognitive dissonance. The cognitive dissonance funk. That sounds like one of the bad follow-ups to the Monster Mash Boris Pickens did.
Don't be a fanboy punk. Yo, people say the flat earth is really funny looking. That's alright, cause the movement is cooking. You lie, you fib, you constantly take people's money.
I'm not sure what JAXA is. Kind of concerned for the J, mostly just because we're in a conspiracy space, and when a J comes up, there's like a 50-50 chance it's gonna stand for some sort of anti-Semitic thing, but I'm not sure.
And it just ain't funny. I'm not a slave bee, so don't you blame me. And the ISS is fake, see?
Oh, thank God, it's Japanese NASA. That's good. That's much better than what it could have been.
Buddy, you know their motives are weird, cause in 69 the US had their head up their rear. The scam is big. Nuh-uh, they're not ashamed. Big like the Trump card, they still haven't played. They get paid on the daily, you know it's a farce. Drinking what they're pissing and their budget's too large. They're either stupid or their brains are diluted. Anything they've ever done has been disputed. Aimed at the moon one time and y'all missed it. Now you're at the bottom of a pool eating Triscuits. Other images are CG.
That's a forced rhyme. Where do the Triscuits come in?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that all they do is lie. All you have to do is give Nazis a chance, and NASA's gonna do their dance. The NASA transfers a man into a jump. Don't be a NASA punk, come on, don't be a Jackson chump. Don't flake out, y'all, don't be a NASA punk or a Jackson chump. Yeah, do you know what they're doing? They're doing the contest fun. Don't be a NASA chump. Don't be a fanboy punk. Ah, yeah, space is fake, y'all. They're laughing in your face, yeah?
Why only NASA and JAXA? Probably because of the rhyme. Mostly for the rhyme. They also don't like, for instance, the European space program. But it didn't fit. Song. Nerdy with a 11-month streak says, I picked up an interesting moment to come in. Also, did you see that Witsit went on Tim Pool's show? The worst crossover of the year. I didn't see that. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of these cast of, like, right-wing assholes. I'm just so tired. I thought I was going to be ready this week to do politics again, and I'm just like, do I ever want to do Chud Watch again? Just exhausting.
Ah, yeah. Now that you know a little bit about NASA, let me tell you a little bit about myself. There's not much to say. Check it out. Heard the earth was flat, but I thought he was joking. Crying and bitching, now YouTube is broken. McTooney's just a monkey. In Tennessee, dude, I heard you look like a crack junkie. That's alright, cause you got no devotion. Go join your boy Craig, cross the ocean. Which you put y'all to shame. It's a psyop, y'all, Hollywood's to blame. No good reason, except for the fame. You gotta lie to remain in the game. Jumping, slumping, ducking, screwing around, faking the fun. So when the cyberpunk jumps, make the mental triple jump. Selling flat earth's been true from the jump. The NASA transfers a man into a jump. Don't be a NASA punk, come on, don't be a Jackson chump. Don't flake out, y'all, don't be a NASA punk or a Jackson chump. Yeah, do you know what they're doing? They're doing.
I kind of wish we had a space on the bingo card for embarrassing conspiracy music video. Anyway. Let's see what we're gonna do next. Well, let's try this one. This is interesting. This person says Vladimir Putin wants to disclose the Anunnaki threat.
Putin wants to disclose about the Anunnaki. Now, I posted a video before with former KGB agent whistleblower in his interview talking about this. And I sat here for hours trying to transcribe and translate what he was saying, because in the video it is so difficult to understand.
Oh shoot, one sec, I gotta resize this. I forgot I resized this for the patron-only stream we did on Sunday, and I didn't fix it. Give me one sec, I apologize. Do the Humpty Hump. The Humpty Hump is stuck in my fucking head now.
So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say that what this agent is saying coincides with the whistleblower, former head of security from Area 51, that I already made a video about, where these Anunnaki giants that woke up from stasis were not able of being contained. Bullets in regular firearms do absolutely nothing to them. Like in the movie
how does that
Superman.
work? Do you shoot them and it bounces off? Or are they all goo? Are they goo people and then you shoot them and then it like fills in with more goo? That's my favorite kind of people. Like, not that they're bulletproof, but that you can shoot them and then they...
See the extraterrestrials with the superpowers?
She's not AI to my knowledge.
So let's see if I can sum it up. Putin wants to disclose about the Anunnaki, but he can't. Russian government calls it the Anunnaki threat. The question was, when did Putin learn about this threat? And what is the background that has Putin determining that the Anunnaki are evil? And former KGB agent...
I find that a little funny, that she thinks Putin, if there were Anunnaki, would need a reason to consider them evil to do something about them, instead of just, like, he feels like it would be beneficial to him to do something? I don't know.
Says...
The casting they have of people who are, like, in the public sphere, and their idea of them is so far apart from who the people actually are. It's kind of bewildering.
Early 2012. He doesn't remember the exact date. But it was 2012 when they started getting reports on extraterrestrial intelligence. Allegedly, the Anunnaki are in Syria, in Jordan, and Ukraine.
It's pretty big allegedly,
based on their intelligence. They seem to have been infiltrating in the war on both sides. And this is to camouflage within the war and be able to take humans out. The next question is, if these things are happening out of Russia, then why does Putin care? Putin cares because, unlike the rest of the world, he realizes the huge threat. Or maybe he's not their puppet and others are. He goes on to say that if they don't fight them in Syria, one day we're going to end up having to fight them in Russia. He makes a reference to Stalingrad. The next question is, what is their disposition? Are they strong? Allegedly, these Anunnakis are giants. There are smaller ones that are...
Giants on the bingo card. Also, we'll say aliens did it for this whole weird speech.
3 meters, and then there are the taller ones that go all the way up to 5 meters. And just so you know...
How do these giant monsters infiltrate anything? They go undercover in the NBA? Question mark?
3 meters is about 9.10 feet. 5 meters is over 16 feet tall. Everything coincides. And the ancient history left on Earth by these Anunnaki. And Putin has given an executive order to prepare nationwide. The Anunnaki are trying to defeat the military bases in Europe. Their early encounters with the Anunnaki took place in caves in Syria, where he says they lost many Russian soldiers. He says that they have energy spears. And it reminds me a lot of when the movie Stargate was showing the army of Ra. Remember how they had those spears, the energy lasers?
Predictive programming on the bingo card.
He said
What was that gesture she did? Like, yeah, see, it was in a Roland Emmerich movie. And that's indicative of how reality works, right? Ugh.
Russian soldiers looked like pigs in mud. They ask how many encounters with the Anunnaki
It's always a movie. It's their frame of reference for everything
they've had. And he
It's
says
so frustrating.
7.
Like, I understand that I'm a person who discusses movies too often, but believe it or not, I've also read books and have life experiences. It's wild to me how often conspiracy theorists will just, like, out of necessity, seemingly, try and explain reality using the craziest fucking films as if they're literal documentaries. Believes in sci-fi tech? Yes.
He makes a special reference
I did not mention Blu-rays. I talked about movies.
to bombings in Syria. The
Different.
Minister of Defense in Russia made a special bomb order but it's not a regular bomb, and a release energy pulse weapon. The interviewer says, so Putin's not going to have any problem at all wiping them out, right? He says that's not so easy because they have a very special method of transportation. They have portals which only they can see, moving them instantaneously from one location to the other within a matter of seconds. He says if they see the troops coming, they strike back right away, and this has happened, taking out all of the human forces. Or they simply take a portal and vanish and reappear in another location. It is believed that they can even move thousands of miles away through these portals.
It is believed. That's such a passive voice, isn't it? It is believed. Who? By whom? Who believes this? Who is saying that? You're the one advocating for this position. Stop taking a passive voice. I hate this. I hate it. I hate how this is how all discussion is now. Is someone said. They're all saying. I know I'm trying not to get into politics and talk about anyone specific, but it feels like rhetoric has so hard shifted into just not owning your points at all and deferring it to some sort of like theoretical they. I can't deal with it.
They speculate that these portals are fixed locations and that they were installed by the Anunnaki in previous years. Now, they're not saying thousands of years ago. They have been here for a while and they have been prepping. Humans have no idea how many of these portals there are. There could be millions.
There could be zero and you need to take lithium.
The portals could even go back to their home planet.
Fun. Oh yeah, this one looked funny. I always love when they depict the alien, especially when it's one of the weird ones. Where did he get dimensions beyond our own?
Hello, friends of the truth. The cloning...
Oh, damn, you can't see the whole thing. I absolutely need to shrink this or something so you can see it. You gotta see this alien. It's so dumb. That's the incorrect one. Let's try and expand this, shall we? I love it. Wonderful. Make it bigger. Yeah. We cut down on the headroom a little. See her. She's wonderful. We did it.
Reality. I want to take a moment to remind everyone about the biggest deception being perpetrated on the human race. No one talks about it because people don't believe it could be real.
What's that robot?
To remind everyone about the biggest deception being perpetrated on the human race. No one talks about it because...
Why is that angry Dom robot in this? Why does it have teeth? That's what gets me about this. This robot has teeth. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of robots with teeth. Why do they need them? They don't need to masticate anything.
Because people don't believe it could be real. Rapid human cloning. From this deception, every other deception is made possible.
Cloning on the bingo card.
The information I share comes directly from Judith's telepathic Pleiadian contact.
Ooh, Anunnaki and Pleiadian.
Can't be researched on the internet. This information will contradict...
I promise you can search all sorts of nonsense on the internet. No one is stopping you. You shouldn't do it, because it'll fry your brain. But you know, you can.
Other information you've heard. But if you consider what I'm saying, it will make more sense than anything else. First, a reminder that years before any conspiracy theorists, talked about doubles or actors
I know, it's all misaligned now because I wanted you to see the bald lady. I'll fix it again. Goddamn layers. That. Gotta do this, eat it out, more or less. Stop snapping. There we go, more or less. We did it.
in masks. I was here talking about cloning. Still, many people reject this information because it's too strange. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't.
Yes, it is. 'Cause that's what possibility means, is that it's possible, and if it happened, by definition, it was possible because it happened. This is like when people try to sound deep, but they don't really think about what they're saying, so they just say something that's nonsense and self-contradictory.
Mark Twain. Rapid cloning was given to the U.S. military in the 1950s by Zeta Greys on behalf of negative Orion reptilians. The military-industrial complex is controlled by a satanic dark forces
Satanic on the bingo card, wasn't expecting that.
that allowed elites to use this technology to their advantage. From a person's DNA, they can grow a duplicate body in 5 months. They can transfer memories to a cloned body and program it with
Not how
speech
anything
patterns
works.
and mannerisms. The clone is a biological duplicate without DNA, without the ability to
What do you mean it's a biological duplicate without DNA? Every living thing has DNA.
reproduce, sometimes with added technology. Image A clone is not an exact match, because our appearance is a result of both genetics and years of experiences in life. There are physical differences between the clones. The first celebrities were cloned for financial gain in the 1970s, and it spread to politics in the 90s.
We didn't even clone a sheep until the 90s, and that was a fluke. What are you talking about? We were not cloning human beings in the 70s.
1990s. By the 2000s, it was everywhere in media and industry. It started with the military and is done in black site NSA facilities worldwide. Only black hats use cloning, never white hats. It's about money and control. There are many A-list celebrities that use clones in movies or to perform on stage. Not everyone who uses clones is a Satanist. Some were just tricked into thinking they could achieve immortality. Some good people have been replaced with evil clones. In the modern era, there
Like a
have been
soap
many
opera.
secret arrests, and the Dark Forces uses clones to replace their own. Nobody will disclose cloning because it's too hard for regular people to believe.
That doesn't make any sense. If you demonstrated evidence of something, people will believe it. Like if you clone someone and they're like, look, here's the clone. They're not going to be like, I don't believe you. I hate this conspiracy thing. There's a conspiracy trope. I don't know if there's a name for it, but it's, even if there was evidence right in front of you, you wouldn't believe this crazy conspiracy. And it's like, no, I would. You just don't have evidence. It's a way for them to be like, well, people would believe me. I'm completely rational. It doesn't matter that there's no evidence. People just won't believe no matter what. No, you just need to evidence your claim. Not that difficult. People do it all the time for real things. Green guy with a $5 tip says, Hannah, I finally got a potato masher and got to use it today. So satisfying. And the statement, the same boiling water that makes the potato soft makes the egg hard. Is that a sex thing? Like people get turned on by different things? That is a different people experience different changes, some positive, some negative, from similar circumstances. Also, thank you for the tip. Like I said earlier, if anyone wants to help support the stream today, I'd appreciate if you use the tip link. Holidays coming up, and end of the month bills and stuff, and I get all of the money if you use the tip link as opposed to other ways which give money to Jeff Bezos or YouTube respectively. Much as I appreciate them.
There is
Don't fire me.
no show of white hats using doubles or clones. White hats arrest. Black hats replace their own. No one wants to tell us the truth, for different reasons. People like Trump have hinted about it, saying that people like Biden, Xi, and Putin are different men and look different.
Not even a thing he's ever said. Like, I don't want to get into it. We're not doing politics today. I know that conspiracy theorists have said things like that. Are they putting words in his mouth because they want him to have said that because they're conspiracy theorists and Trump supporters? Alden Undying says, "Hey Hannah, hope you're well. I'm doing all right. How are you?"
Doesn't know he's alive or using words like puppet. There are many clones
Oh, they're claiming when he says puppet, it's an implication of a clone. That's not how that works, but okay.
dispersed through the populations of many countries who are very docile and obedient citizens. This is what the dark forces wants for the planet. The black and bruised eyes can signify cloning.
Clintons, Bidens, Obamas, yes, on the bingo card. This sort of black and white, good and evil belief that, like, there are good people and bad people, and they're objective black and white groups. This is a common trope in conspiracy. If you're seeing thinking like this in pretty much any avenue, it's usually wrong. Usually life is a lot more complicated than that. Not saying there are no black and white issues, there are, but just broadly, if you're being told this evil, super evil force is all evil and everyone else is all good, probably, not like entirely true at minimum. Sophie Bliss, thanks for a $5 Canadian super chat, says thanks for Tinfoil Tuesdays. No problem. Thanks for watching.
Updates. They connect technology to the brain through the eye and transfer new information to the clone. Only important
Why would you transfer information through the eye?
clones in media
Like, I know we see things and that's like information, but like, you're like downloading things visually? Isn't that the same thing as watching anything? Couldn't I say I'm downloading information by watching this video? Not really anything other than absorbing things normally, but do you like shoot a beam of data into their optic nerve? That's a fun sci-fi concept, but not real.
politics, or
Oh, happy belated birthday, Carpcosian. Alden Undying with a 3-stream streak says, I'm pretty good, saw you were on, so I got up from my nap. Hope you had a good nap.
industry are updated. They still use the eye, but now some clones are updated through their foot. This is why some notable people wear orthopedic boots.
There's no other reason. You can't just have foot issues. If you're wearing orthopedic shoes, guess what? Data slot right in your foot.
Or are seen limping. Cloning doesn't involve parasites called vril. This is fiction introduced by someone named Donald Marshall.
Oh no, we have inter-conspiracy theorist beef.
It's a completely technological process.
Conspiratorial sectarianism, woo!
The VRL narrative just makes cloning harder to believe. The clone is never the original person. Humans are souls, and clones are soulless. There can be clones alongside a living person, or replacing the original person.
Once again, we have this theme we've seen with the discussions, especially amongst right-wing conspiracy theorists, about certain people being NPCs. The consistent theme that's going throughout these conspiracies is that there are some people in the world who might look and feel and act like human beings. They secretly don't have a soul, so they're not actually human beings. That's scary. That's scary to have any percentage of the population walking around believing not every person is a human being. That's how people convince themselves or are convinced to commit terrible atrocities against other human beings because they cease to see them as an empathetic individual because they no longer relate. After all, they're a real person. They're a human being. You're an NPC. You don't have a soul. You're a satanic puppet, Stuff like that. Not good. Not a good thing that's being spread out there. Sort of the dark places on the internet.
The soul is always with the original body. There is no consciousness transfer. Your consciousness resides with your soul.
Phyllis Filler says, WikiFeet needs to add a section for data ports, apparently.
It cannot be put into another body by humans. The clone is always a separate person. Only memories can be transferred. To my knowledge, Pleiadians are the only source who have accurately disclosed rapid human cloning. The disclosure community...
Hero Doubleman says, speaking of clones and resurrections and delusional mindsets, I've been getting Bed Bath & Beyond commercials. It is funny. For those that maybe covered some of my meme stock stuff, Bed Bath & Beyond's brand was sold to another company, so there's like a new company calling itself Bed Bath & Beyond. You might see some ads for it, but it has nothing to do with the old Bed Bath & Beyond. Basically, another company skinned Bed Bath & Beyond and is wearing its flesh.
Community has become an echo chamber of
Which is a fun holiday tradition.
fake information with no discernment about the sources. Joe Biden is a clone. The original was executed. The Obamas are cloned. The Clintons are cloned. If only the truthers understood most of these people have already been removed, they could find more peace. Joe Biden was an old man.
Isn't that interesting that their peace involves their political enemies being extrajudicially kidnapped, replaced, and murdered? That would give them peace to know that people they don't like in politics who have committed or have not been like found guilty of any crimes or anything, they're not even on trial, just kidnapped secretly, extrajudicially murdered and replaced with clones. And this video feels that that is a comforting thought.
And the process of cloning an old man over and over produces only senile clones.
The fan fiction for trying to explain why the 80-year-old man is senile. Great, yeah, you need cloning to explain that. That makes sense.
There are no actors trying to entertain us, and no white hats giving away secret plans. The hardest part is understanding there won't be any public announcement about cloning or mass arrests until the shift. None of this can be known before Ascension because it would lead to mass chaos and violence worldwide. The flip side of this is that Galactic Federation is allowing dark forces to lie to us because they want us to awaken to the deception on our own. This reality is a test. We always have moral free will whether or not we have secret disclosure information. Clones won't shift because clones aren't real people with souls.
Remember, everyone who disagrees with you and doesn't go along with this big shift in culture, they're not real people. They don't have souls.
When the shift happens, this reality will be only evil people and clones. A new transhumanist world order will take over this 3D Earth, while ascended humans live in paradise on the parallel 5D Earth, Sheen. Now we're talking about clones and AI. The human race has had our DNA manipulated, altered, and split in two to change our entire species' genetic makeup. Clones are a genetic creation that run on an artificial program, AI, artificial intelligence. Clones, because of their genetically modified makeup, will suffer serious health conditions and neurological problems that eventually ends.
The 5D Earth is called Sheen? Yeah, I didn't pause on that. I probably should have. I don't want to live on a planet called Sheen, or a dimension called Sheen. That's a terrible name. Can we, like, table that at the next 5D HOA meeting or something, and maybe have a vote? Because, like, that name sucks. P with a Q says, I, for one, welcome our new transhumanist overlords and ladies.
Them. This is what I believe has happened to the Greys. I believe they found out that you cannot mesh a biological form with artificial intelligence and thrive. The only outcome is
Which side will I fight on in the Clone Wars? Obviously the Republic. I'll take any chance to fight the Cis.
destruction. The high-level science of genetics on planet
The
Earth.
name of the Trade Federation in Star Wars prequels is the name of it. Whatever.
Meaning the dark forces working in their underground labs or DUMBs are and have been doing some extremely highly advanced cloning of our race for thousands of years. This very sinister program genetically modifies the human to work on a completely artificial frequency based solely on artificial intelligence. Very dangerous.
How do you make what do you mean it's an artificial frequency? Is it moving something or not? Sorry, I also got mascara in my eye or something and it's driving me nuts. Oh, did I get it? I got it.
This dark
Confederacy of Independent Systems, yeah. Oh, shit. Didn't mean to
Hello,
do that.
friends of the truth. Fulfill the agenda they want. These clones are controlled by a central AI that works with a transmitter.
Mascara can
that
suck. It
receives
makes my eyes look
information
pretty,
through a
though.
chip, which is neurologically connected to
Funny,
their
because you
brain.
guys can't even really see it. I don't know why I put on mascara for this stream. I don't think you can see my eyes in enough detail that it matters.
This central AI controls these clones equally, like as in a hive mind, which I've talked about before. These clones have memories and reactions downloaded into them based on the original person who they are cloning. Meaning, they study the original person whose mental profile they have downloaded into an advanced supercomputer and is implanted in their clone as a program.
Okay, I think we've had enough about the clone stuff. Let's take a look at the bingo card, because we definitely have some stuff on here. We have uses AI, flat earth, vibes-based conspiracy, believes sci-fi tech exists, clones, wow, this is a lot, giants, dimensions beyond our own, aliens did it, satanic, Clinton's, Biden's, Obama's, don't think we had reptilians yet. Did they mention the Matrix? Predictive programming. No spots for grays, no. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. They did mention reptilians. Okay, reptilians. PSYOP. Is that it? Anything else? I think Atlantis got mentioned. It always gets confusing because before stream, for those that don't know, like I spend like 2 hours or so going through stuff I already have saved to find out what I'm gonna do, like for the stream today. So like I do 3 hours of stream usually here, but before stream I'm watching conspiracy stuff for 2 hours. So sometimes I forget, did I watch that before stream in preparation for stream, or did we already watch that? And it gets all confused in my head, so I apologize for that. Let's see. What else are... Oh boy! Let's do this one.
In 2020, Lily Nova began astrophotography as a hobby during the COVID lockdowns. She began taking photos and video of different UFOs that she was witnessing. And eventually she began having telepathic communications with the occupants of the UFOs that she found out were from different star systems such as Lyra, Andromeda, and Arcturus. She has since gone on to have many experiences with different extraterrestrials. She's written a best-selling book on contact, And very recently, she went for an expedition, an investigation.
Astrophotography is a real thing. Astrophotography is just what it's called when you take pictures of the sky. Like, people get telescopes, like consumer or prosumer telescopes, and hook up cameras. That is a real hobby that people have.
Investigation of underground
Speaking with aliens through it is a whole other thing that is not real.
caverns at Rock City in Illinois.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla.
Exopolitics Today? What's there to talk about? There is no exopolitics. It should be exopolitics tomorrow. At least then you're speculating.
Your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel.
I don't think I will.
And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
If you're on YouTube, make sure you like my stream.
Well, welcome, Lily, to Exopolitics Today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, I think you have some very fascinating photos and video that you've taken of different UFOs that you've cited. But let's begin.
This guy actually a doctor, Dr. Michael Salla. Let me look him up and see if we can find him. I didn't think to do this before stream. Dr. Mike. Let's see what he has a doctorate in. That's not the same guy. The guy with an IMDb page. Is this the guy? That looks like it's maybe... Yeah, that's him. Let's see. Melbourne, Australia. He's the producer known for Cosmic Secret, Ancient... Oh my god, he's a producer on Ancient Aliens! This fucking guy! Oh. Sorry, I'm trying to find what his actual doctorate is in. I'll play this while I'm looking. I apologize. Benny Kagami says, the thing I have come to despise is the normalized cowardice when it comes to belief. So few people embrace sincerity. Everyone either buries their beliefs in irony or jokes to make it difficult to parse what they believe, or they're so shiftless they change beliefs on a dime. Our politicians hide behind the law or will of the people to avoid making a stand. This is a problem from all sides, and I've gotten so sick of it, and that there are video essayists I won't watch because they do this. Yeah, stuff is rough. Especially right now. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. People are alienated from each other, and the political environment's fucked up, and everyone's mad, and things feel like they're getting worse for everyone, and everyone's upset, and everyone wants to scapegoat someone. Not great. Not great stuff happening.
In with how you kind of like...
Green guy with a $7 tip says, Hannah, Peachy's sister's coming over, so I'm making a ham, and I got a turkey breast because I hate tearing meat off a corpse. Going to cook it in the crock pot to keep the breast moist and sides. Thanksgiving food.
Took up astrophotography. What was it? I know. Why don't you talk a little bit about your background as a dietitian and what made you decide to move from being a dietitian to studying and trying to photograph UFOs and the stars?
Yeah, so it's been a very interesting journey. My life took a very dramatic
Doctor of Philosophy, it just says.
turn during the beginning of COVID. So I started off as a nutritionist, and I taught nutrition and cooking classes.
Looks like the last time he published anything was in 2013.
After
Over a decade ago.
graduating from college.
And it's like, wait, is this even published in like a thing, or is this just like a... Oh, it was published in Astropolitics, the International Journal of Space Politics and Policy. What? Okay.
For that. And I was very passionate.
Would this be expert speaks outside of their field? Yes, it would! We don't get that space very often. Expert speaks on something outside of their field on the bingo card.
About that, helping people. And that also kind of sparked my first steps of awakening, realizing kind of the corruption of the food industry and in, how food impacts the body, all of that. So that was kind of like one pathway that led me a long time ago to starting to kind of questioning things. But, I was happily working as a nutritionist, and then COVID hit, lockdowns hit. There was nothing to do. Everything's closed. So I started going out and shooting space photography. And I fell absolutely in love with it. I have a Nikon DSLR camera that I began using, and I started going out every single night. At the time, some things also happened with my job and shifted, and I ended up quitting my job. And it's basically like my whole life was just kind of turned upside down, and I just spent every single night out under the stars. Now, a couple months
That
into
must have been nice that she could just quit her job and go do shit.
that, I'd never seen a UFO or had never had any kind of strange experience before that I
Is she seeing like shooting stars and she thinks she's seeing UFOs and is like believing she's speaking to them because of delusion?
was aware of, that I remembered. And, a couple months into that, I had my first very, very close UFO encounter. Very, very close, right outside of my house in around the St. Louis area. And then they just started popping up left and right. So I turned into investigator mode and just started documenting them with my camera, because at first nobody believed me. So, and it's a really paradigm shifting thing, seeing this and realizing that we are not alone, and that these craft that can do unthinkable, unimaginable things are right here. So that's what I set out to
That's wild to me that her story is literally, I started taking pictures like 2 years ago, or whatever, 3-4 years ago, and now I think I've discovered alien intelligence.
do. And that's kind of how the journey started. And it
This feels like someone, like, I'm all about, like, if you could have confidence, that's awesome. I'm a person who lacks confidence. I'm a person who lacks self-esteem. So when I see people who are very confident, that's great. That's awesome. I envy that to some extent. But you can go so far where you never think anything you do is wrong and you think everything you do is kick ass and, like, you have no sense of your own abilities or your own, like, expertise level. And holy crap. His article, let's see. Astropolitics and the Exopolitics of Unacknowledged Activities in Outer Space. The role of unacknowledged classified programs remains an enigma for fully understanding activities in space in the study of astropolitics. Classified programs by law are not publicly announced and remain inaccessible to all except those with valid security clearances to be briefed about them. In the United States, waived, unacknowledged special access programs are the most highly classified programs conducted by the military and intelligence community. The same classification protocols are also required of private contractors working with U.S. military departments and intelligence agencies on classified programs. As space continues to grow in its national security significance, the number of these unacknowledged programs pertaining to space is likely to grow significantly from its current number. This requires adopting the necessary conceptual tools and methodological flexibility for investigating unacknowledged activities in space. This also extends to evidence concerning unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrial life. This article suggests that exopolitics is a unique multidisciplinary approach to extraterrestrial life that offers a helpful set of conceptual tools for studying unacknowledged space activities and complements the field of astropolitics. Jesus Christ. Freyline says, so if someone is a nutritionist, it's a coincidence flip if they are a hack. Was that supposed to be coin flip? Because yes. Where did it go?
Really escalated to contact and communication with these otherworldly beings, and taken me down a very
Word salad on the bingo card.
interesting journey since that. But that was the beginning.
Right. So on November 17, I guess that's the incident you were referring to. That was the first time you saw a UFO or photographed a UFO. And this was something that began reacting to your thoughts. So you want to tell us about that?
Yes, of course. So it was really late. It was about 1:52 in the morning, and I went outside to get some fresh air before I went to sleep. I felt called to going outside, and
Yeah, I think we already had uses AI, but yes, that's an AI picture.
as soon as I did, I looked up at the stars like I always did, and there was a hovering light that I noticed, a bright light above the neighborhood. Now, this one was a bit further away, but still pretty close.
Was it someone with a drone? A lot of people have drones now.
Not, high up in the sky,
Like, I recently saw a drone show for the first time. It was pretty cool. I've never seen one before. But, like, I could see if you're, like, kind of into woo-woo and stuff, if someone had a light or something on their drone and you weren't expecting it and weren't thinking about it, you could maybe, from a certain distance, not be able to ascertain exactly how far away it is. And it's moving a certain speed, so to your eye, it might look like it's further away and moving faster than it is. I think it's more likely you saw a drone or a satellite or something than you saw an actual space alien, considering we don't even know if space aliens exist. Mo Emery's of Caldera, thank you for 33 months, says, 33 months! Quick, someone tell me the anniversary is proof I'm one of the powerful elites! It'll give me a chuckle and be good for my self-esteem. You are truly the most powerful elites on this wonderful Freemason-coded day.
Satellite distance. This was hovering above the neighborhood, and I investigated it. I realized that it wasn't any of our aircraft. It didn't have any flashing lights, and it was moving.
Rob P. says he has a PhD in government from the University of Queensland, Australia, and a master's in philosophy from the University of Melbourne. Thank you.
In a cliche hovering.
No new CC.
Motion. So I took out my phone and I started filming it because I believed it may be a UFO. Then I got this strange kind of feeling, and an orange, like a blood orange light appeared at the end of my street that drew my attention. As I looked over there, then it almost seemed like time slowed down and things became very eerie and kind of quiet. Like I could hear a pin drop, and I could
I'm trying to figure out at this point if this is delusion or an attention-seeking lie.
almost feel kind of like an electrical.
Because this is, like, specific. Usually if it's delusional, it's a little more vague. It's a little more open-ended where they're doing interpretation. You can tell they're interpreting things in a specific way. This is, like, specific and, like, a close enough interaction that, like, she basically has to be making it up. Or she has actual hallucinations, which is bad. Moss Sloth says, the boyfriend and I went to a hot air balloon show and event. They did a ground show at night and had to postpone it until the assholes flying a drone around took his drone down, because obviously we're not mixing hot air balloons and flying electronics.
Energy. And suddenly I heard this, and I'm the only one around. It's the middle of the night. Suddenly I heard the wind rustling, and I turned back and I see this large diamond-shaped craft that appearing like it appeared like it came out of nowhere, out of thin air. And that's what it, so that's a depiction of it, a diamond craft. It had a rope.
If you had a picture, why do you need a depiction of it? Wouldn't the picture be a depiction of it? It would be a picture. You wouldn't need to depict it. It would just be picted.
Of red lights and blue-green lights. And I was bending my neck looking up at it. It was pretty close, a few houses down. And it just kind of stunned me. And
it does look like Leviathan from Hellraiser.
Questioning what I was seeing, and it reacted to my thoughts and went up, down, side to side very, very quickly. And then to show me, that I'm not a normal craft, because our craft can't do that we're aware of. Then it started coming straight towards me, and it ended up vanishing above my head. And that was my first experience. And I would have about 14 other encounters in January.
14? Did you capture any of them on video? You're doing astrophotography and you're saying you're having 14 encounters. There's not video in this. I'm gonna be mad. Also, I just noticed we're 600 of the way to the next costume month goal. Woohoo! So that's cool if you want another costume month tip stuff.
After that.
Very interesting. I know these diamond-shaped craft, various people
14 in a month is like one at least every other day.
have seen them. There's a very famous UFO incident called the Cash Landrum case. I think that was from 1980, where a family...
What's the health bar? That's the stream boss on the far left bottom, whoever is, like, every time someone donates or stuff like that, it like takes health away from it, and the final person to kill the stream boss becomes the new stream boss.
Saw one of these diamond-shaped craft flying in Texas, and it was being accompanied or followed by a number of helicopters, and they suffered radiation poisoning. But that seemed to be more of I don't know, maybe a kind of a craft that was being tested by the military. But what you experienced sounds like it was more of an extraterrestrial craft.
How would you be able
Oh,
to tell
definitely.
that?
Yeah, it was definitely extraterrestrial. And that's
It was definitely extraterrestrial.
that's a kind of a depiction of it, not exactly what it looked like, but pretty close.
Okay, great.
Yes. And
So that's the diamond-shaped one. Now, you also saw and photographed in January 2020 another UFO. So this is an actual photograph.
yes.
So this is not an illustration. So this is a photo.
This is the Leviathan? In what universe do you think this looks anything like what you were talking about? And also, how long have you been doing astrophotography and this is what you got? From the UFO, the UAP, whatever you want to call it? Disappointed.
Photograph. So this kind of substantiates that you're seeing things and having.
It does substantiate that you're seeing things. What are those things? That's a question we've yet to answer, but the answer almost certainly is not diamond-shaped UFO? Hydrate. I have just enough for a hydrate.
Experiences.
Yeah, so and this was my second encounter. So at the time, I was spending a lot of time out by myself in very rural areas with my camera, shooting, Milky Way photography, all of that. And I was at this astronomy park surrounded by cornfields. And again, around the exact same time, I started feeling this sensation like I
Black's Law Dictionary request. What do you want me to look up, Jay's Proxy Theory or whatever is close to it?
was not alone. And I look and I see a hovering craft above the tree line to my right. I look, I see another hovering craft to my left, hovering above the tree line, two craft behind me. And then in front of me, there were these lights, which you're seeing on the screen right here, that were not there a second ago. So suddenly I was surrounded by these craft. And I was completely alone. My car wasn't on, and I was sitting in my car. I was kind of at the time scared to start my car and leave. So I decided to go into investigator mode and I just started filming them. And this, what you're seeing in front, and I have a video of it too. I don't know if you have that handy, but this craft that I was filming, it actually emitted a beam of light. So this is a still shot of.
Closest we have is theory of case, facts on which the right of action is claimed to exist, the basis of liability, or grounds of defense, Higgins versus Fuller.
That beam of light coming from it.
Phyllis Filler says, the photo was like a screen cap of the other Trekkies trying to determine the classes of ships in the background of Wolf 359 from a grainy VHS recording of TNG. Oddly specific, but yeah. Gotta get the lore right. You gotta figure out exactly how many of which class of ships were present. That's obviously the important part of that story, right?
All with the occupants of that craft, was that happening at this point?
It's not outwardly. I was getting feelings, and looking back, I was experiencing kind of an expansion of consciousness and a deep call to. Most people, I think, would be afraid by this. But I was very curious, and I felt very
She's so special. She's not like the other conspiracy theorists. Other people would be scared, but not Lily Nova. Lily Nova is just curious. She's a star seed.
called. Like I wanted to know more. Who are these beings? So I feel like they were calling me and communicating, but not like verbally. It was more of kind of like a feeling, and I do feel like they were activating me.
She goes by Lily Nova. It's probably a nom de guerre.
And in one
Non de plume? No, plume is writing. Non de guerre.
My pictures, I noticed this later. There was actually like like clouds going from the ground up into the sky that looked like a twisting DNA. What I discovered whenever more of a telepathic, more of a verbal communication began developing, that they were helping to activate my DNA and helping to activate my extrasensory perception and raise my frequency, preparing me for more of a outward communication. So that started shortly.
And what's the thing I'm thinking of? There's a word that's similar to non de plume, but it's not for writing. And I don't mean like pseudonym. You could use pseudonym. Pseudonym is a synonym for the word I'm thinking of.
After, at first, it was
But it's not the word I'm thinking of.
very much about me documenting the physical evidence, and they were kind of leading me down this trail, and kind of easing me into it, but quickly.
Nope,
easing
not
me into
alias.
it.
It's also a non-de something.
Definitely, it does sound like there was a logical progression in the experiences that you were having, and I mean it's
Nom de guerre. But other people said that's what? Am I crazy?
fabulous that
It is actually nom de guerre? Okay. God damn it, people lying to me. Ah!
you have been able to take photos and video of these craft that later on you're having full
Don't you question me about my fucking words. I'm 99th percentile in English, motherfucker.
blown telepathic communications and even kind of like contact experiences with them, but we'll get to that. So I guess at some point, I mean, your
It means a name of war. It's a name you use in war. Did that become more broadly accepted to mean just a pseudonym? Because that's the context I've heard it in.
professional background
Go for it, Anna.
was as a dietitian. That's something you got a university degree in that, so you worked in that field. But these contact experiences or these UFOs that you're photographing and responding to you, that seemed to be something you became passionate about. And yes, so you want
To take pictures. I even asked, can I take photos of you? And it stayed, and I got about 10 pictures of it. So this is one of them. And at the time, this was in the very beginning of communication. I'm starting to ask it questions, and it's kind of moving around like it's answering. And then my new friend, said, why don't we try and close our eyes and see if we can get any information that way? And at the time, I thought that kind of sounded kind of strange, but I did so. And whenever I closed my eyes, I began receiving visions, which I had never seen before. I saw like this a head with a bunch of light going into the top of the head, which now I know was depicting a download or being downloaded with information. And then I was able to remote view essentially the beings who were controlling this craft, this
AKA, she imagined something.
golden orb, and it was a light blue woman with no hair. She looked very human, and she had a silver skin tone.
That's literally just a picture of someone from Star Trek. She has a Starfleet insignia. I don't know if they used AI to make this, and if the AI slapped a trademark infringing Star Trek fucking emblem on there, but that's the trademark of Paramount Viacom or something. Oh.
Tight uniform on. And then she had about 5 crew members that were standing behind her with the same uniform. And so that was my first time getting to see what these beings looked like who were reaching out to me. So that was, a very, very pivotal moment. I first learned that she said they originated from Lyra. And then I later discovered that they were she's Andromedan. So Andromeda constellation, originally from Lyra, I believe Vega before that.
Is Andromeda both a galaxy and a constellation? Because she called it a constellation, but I thought Andromeda was a galaxy.
about the Andromeda Council, because I think that's relevant to that woman and the crew members.
It is both? Okay.
That somehow they were connected to that Andromeda Council. So, how did you learn about the Andromeda Council?
It's funny that you would describe yourself as an Andromedan. Like, we wouldn't refer to ourselves as whatever constellation some other culture views us as being in, Ian. You know what I mean? How would they know that they're Andromedan? They wouldn't know they're in the Andromeda constellation, because constellations are a construct of human, like, categorizing and clustering stars together. You know what I mean?
When was the first time you heard about it?
Oh, it's, it's been, it took a little while, I think, for me to kind of come across more of that and learn more about that, because, um, all of that was very, very new to me. So I know that they are, they're a council that comes from the Andromeda constellation, and they're very like psychic beings, from my understanding. So this particular being really showed up and guided
The slur is Milkies. I'm not a fan of that. It just sounds... No.
me, and that's all through what my first book discusses. She was training me on like personal development and kind of activating my DNA and psychic development.
The DNA is so activated. Okay, I'm done with this lady. I hope she gets the attention that she seems to enjoy. Oh my god, the Shungite!
Should get a chunk of Shungite, raw Shungite. Everyone should get a chunk of Shungite, raw Shungite preferably.
You gotta get that Shungite. Don't fuck around, okay? It's Shungite time. Chitara says, actually, Hannah, the Andromedans came down and told our ancestors the name of their home galaxy. That makes sense.
Because you can run your water over it, your drinking water over it.
You can run water over whatever rocks you want. It's a free country. You can run whatever you want over your water and then drink it. That doesn't make it healing or whatever.
Over it, or you can store it in a
What is Shungite? What isn't Shungite is a better question, Midnight Wolf. Do you have a problem? Shungite will fix it for you.
container where you drink
Do you have a problem? No, you don't. Here's some Shungite.
water. It will neutralize, kill all the harmful bacteria, whatever is in there. It'll dispel EMFs from it.
Damn, my water has so many EMFs in it. My water is contaminated with EMFs. That's not a thing. That doesn't even make sense. And how would it, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What? EMFs aren't a material that could be infecting a thing that you could disperse with a rock.
And when you drink that water,
Shilling scamming on the bingo card.
that water will do amazing things inside you because of all the properties that Shungite has.
All of them. So many properties. It has them. Shungite. Green guy with a $3 tip says, Hannah, did you pick out a chair for your list? I didn't yet. I didn't. I probably will sometime in the next week.
I can't
Gitara with 50 bits says, I'll pass, sir. I'm hoarding microplastics so that I can metabolize them and ascend as an immortal. Toreador says, another consideration as to how insane this is. Constellations are made up of stars that, relative to us, appear to be close. However, the stars can, relatively, be further away from each other than they are from Earth. So if someone from a constellation, when they might not even be stars, but entire galaxies are millions of miles wide nebulae. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's entirely named from the perspective of us, as opposed to an actual culture being self-reflective or having its own culture and reasons to call things certain names.
begin to tell you the healing
You almost choked on the water laughing. You know what'll fix that? Shungite. It'll make your water choke-free. No longer choke on water. Shungite.
qualities of
PM.
Shungite. You have an internal issue, you have a physical issue, be near Shungite. It will help you.
Just be in proximity to the Shungite, no matter what your problem is. Pooping too much, pooping too little, pooping too medium. No matter how your poop is, Shungite will fix it.
Absolutely. And the Russians have known that since 300-400 years. Peter the Great in 1719 built the first spa for the Russian elite.
And this all worked out. That's why the Russian aristocracy, or rather I should say the Russian royal family, is still growing great to this day. Don't look it up. Overthought says the word of the day is Shungite.
To take baths in, and the water in the spa flowed over beds of Shungite.
And if I trust health advice from anyone, it's a Russian czar from centuries ago. They really had it together in terms of medical science, right?
And because the elite Shungite, there are three qualities.
Shungite is rich in cadmium and lead. Don't use it for water. Oh, that's good to know. RFK Jr. is probably going to start putting it in the water.
Of Shungite, elite or noble Shungite, which has a carbon content of 98%, and fullerenes, which we're becoming.
It took a lot to kill Rasputin. I've always considered it my head canon that the reason it was so difficult to kill Rasputin is that the disco song Rah Rah Rasputin secretly is a magic spell that was cast back in time, and the power of the funk kept him living longer than humanly possible. It was an unnatural funk that kept Rasputin breathing. Also, catchy-ass song.
Aware of now the positive effects of fullerenes and the nanocarbons that are being
The nanocarbons?
used industrially. In 1719, he built the first spa in Russia, and so they've known about the health benefits of Shungite for over 300 years. And that knowledge has only come to the West when the wall went down after 1991. We got access to what the Russians were keeping behind the Iron Curtain. So yeah,
The Iron Curtain was to protect us from the Shungite!
is very, very effective. In fact, Peter the Great had every one of his soldiers carry a piece of Shungite in their pocket. So no matter where they were, they could take that Shungite, and when they took water out of a creek or out of a river, they put the Shungite in that before they drank it.
And they're all doing great today.
To kill the bacteria, to kill whatever would be harmful for you. So yeah, I mean, they were way ahead of us in the West. If you buy...
Let me deal with this. Fight! It's fine. It's not in my frame of view. It's in one of my lights, though, and that makes me uncomfortable. I'm suddenly very conscious that there are spiders within, like, 5 feet of you at all times.
Buy Shungite, make sure it comes from Karelia. Karelia is Russia, and there's a village called Shunga. And
You gotta get your Shungite from Shunga, okay? Otherwise it's just sparkling rocks.
and hence the name Shungite. But the best Shungite is Karelian Russian Shungite. So make sure that the source is, and there are people fake.
Depraved Ambiance says, spiders eat insects. Spiders are good. Look, I understand that rationally spiders are a wonderful thing and that it's not actually going to hurt me. It's a house spider. It's not like anything that's dangerous to me. I have a lizard brain and it is scared of things with many legs. Okay? It's that simple. It's that simple. If you think spiders are cute, that's a wonderful thing, and I hope you hold on to that. They viscerally make me wanna, Altered Undying says, okay, so Wraith, the Oblivion, a game I love, has the stamina stat. Each level is what will try to kill you, because in the game you're a ghost. In one edition, it describes what killed Rasputin at the highest level. Oh, that's fun.
Taking it. The reason the Karelian Shungite noble the elite Shungite, because
Karelia is not Russia? Was it former, like, Soviet Union? Is this a video made by Russians and it's insinuating that all of the Baltic states are still Russia, even though they're not?
it has at least a 98 or 99% carbon content, fullerenes, which is what you want. That's what makes it so effective. The next lower quality of Shungite, and there's color changes, has a little bit of a silvery sheen. The meat
Oh shit, Nemesaur with a $50 tip says, I just wanted to share some good news I received. When my grandniece was an infant, doctors discovered a lime-sized mass growing in her brain. After years of treatment, her most recent MRI scan showed that the mass had completely vanished. Holy crap, that's incredible. I am so glad that the treatments have been effective. That's awesome. Congratulations, seriously, and thank you for the tip. That's incredibly generous. Thank you.
medium Shungite, it's about 70% carbon, and then the lowest form of Shungite is 40 to 50%.
I spit on your 50% Shungite. Puh! It's barely Shungite.
So if you're
I trust Russian Shungite.
going to deal with Shungite, try to get elite
It is hearty and grows hair on chest.
or noble Shungite.
Noble Shungite. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, sorry, Freyline. Freyline says they had magic rocks. That's why the Soviets nearly starved all of Ukraine to death.
Ladies and gentlemen, no matter how strange things get here, they just get stranger. There is a national monument in Wyoming known as Devil's Tower. Now, this is a rock, a very old rock, and it is the only one of its massive size in the area, surrounded by trees. At first glance, this looks like a mountain, or just
Did we watch this one last time? I know we watched something about Devil's Tower, but I don't remember if it was this exact
a large
video.
massive rock left behind after erosion. Now, this wouldn't seem strange,
This mountain was a tree on the bingo card, yes.
except for that this rock has a shape that is eerily similar to that of a tree stump. And if you think that's crazy, there are many more of these around the world. So the only question that remains, if a structure like this is an ancient tree stump, then who the hell cut it down?
The music's doing a lot of work here, huh? What if it's not a giant tree and you're just wasting your life? Different video, same topic, good. Okay, the music was different, so.
I would say since the last World War, we've been living in an age of revelation. What I mean is, the knowledge about the true world we live in is coming to light. Most of us would agree that the world millions of years ago, maybe even only thousands of years ago, was a very, very different place. And in order for this to make sense, we're going to have to go back pre-flood. Think about this. How bad of a place does the earth have to be in order for God to say, nope, that's it. I'm wiping everything out and starting over?
It's so frustrating when they start to talk about history, but instead of talking about actual history, they start to talk about, like, biblical theology as if it is history. That's one of my pet peeves. Stop doing that. Please stop. Please stop.
Over from scratch. I mean, what did the angels and men do to this place? And their children, by God, the Nephilim? What do you think they did to this place while they were
I
here?
didn't even know they were obsessed with the Romanovs, Amber.
I can only assume that they terraformed our planet into a total wasteland. Now, I'm going to take you through some basic things so that I can build a case for what I'm about to present. First, what is soil? The Earth's soil is made up of unconsolidated minerals and organic matter, mixed with water and gases.
Are you gonna say all the humans were turned into dirt, and that's where the nutrients come from? Gitara says, to be honest, I could buy that normal-sized ancient humans cut the thing down if it actually was a tree. Humans smaller than we are today did all sorts of impressive and crazy stuff in the past, and cutting down a tree is small potatoes compared to that stuff. I hadn't even considered that. It is funny that in their heads, if there were giant trees, they must have been cut down by giant people. I never even really thought about that they are making that leap. Even if there were giant trees, which, like, there are real giant trees, like the redwood forest, you know, which is a fraction of the size it used to be, you know? Like, I get it, like, there are big trees, but the idea that you would need to be a giant to take them down is such a weird leap that I never even really thought about it.
Compost. It is the layer of skin on the earth in which...
That's a good idea, Baha. I should like or dislike videos so I know I've watched them before. Smart. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. As I watch videos from now on, I'll like or dislike them, and then I'll know. Cool.
vegetation can grow. Are you with me so far? Don't worry. This will all make sense in a moment.
It'll work for YouTube, at least.
Next, we have rock, or stone. Now, there are three basic types of rock: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Igneous rock is formed by the cooling of magma, either with...
Christopher B says, quick, my coworker is asking around for a horror movie recommendation. What's one you've got that most people wouldn't know? Popcorn is a fun slasher movie that homages a lot of older horror films. That one's pretty good. Peeping Tom is a 60s horror film that's kind of classy, as it helped originate sort of the slasher genre. Vacation of Terror is a pretty fun Spanish language slasher film. A sequel to it as well, but I like the first one. From Beyond, really great cosmic horror.
Within the earth or on the surface as volcanic rock. This can be formed from several minerals and makes up a great deal of the Earth's crust. Sedimentary rock is basically settled minerals deposited as bedding after weathering and erosion. This is
Existence by David Cronenberg's another good one.
Normally found in layers. And metamorphic rock is pre-existing rock that has been heated up and compressed, giving the rock new characteristics specific to certain minerals once it cools. Now that is rock basics, which brings us to sand, which is not soil, but granules of rock that have been broken down by the elements, becoming what we know as the deserts, riverbeds, and beaches of the world. So let's look at our deserts. And here's a question you probably never thought of before. Are all the deserts of the earth the product of nature?
Yes.
In other words, we know that these
except in cases where, like, humans have deforested to the point where desertification happens. You could argue humans have a hand in that, but it still is happening because of nature.
Many grains of sand in the desert come from small rocks and finally larger rocks.
Does Ex Machina count as horror? Yeah, I'd say that's sci-fi horror.
Be more sand than large rocks, which gives the impression that the desert sand was not left behind by the elements or eroded rock, but dumped there.
What?
Now, when I say dumped, I mean that the desert sand is the result of a rapid breakdown. If you look at a geographical map of the world and took all of the continents and pieced them together as one mass of land, then you can see that the major deserts of the world line up to form one large, massive desert.
I've not seen Vivarium.
Where did this desert come from? Well, let's say that before it was a desert, it was lush green land that was hit by a meteor. And this meteor cracked the landmass into several continents, forming a crater filled with water.
No, what? Is he trying to say that we don't have Pangea anymore because of meteor?
That we know to be the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
The surrounding desert is nothing more than the aftermath of a great explosion from the meteor impacting Earth. This is one possibility, but it can't account for every desert in the world.
Wow,
So,
they just really say stuff, huh?
another possibility is that this desert sand was physically dumped by ancient beings. What beings? We don't know, but I'm sure you can guess.
I can't. No, what do you mean? You can't just beg the question like that and be like, oh, you can guess. No, give a definitive statement. This is this passive voice shit again. This Blues Cluesification of conspiracy. When you make a definitive statement, you automatically close off certain people who are going to disagree with what you say. So all they do is gesture, well, you know, because then it's just a Rorschach test. Then the audience of conspiracy theorists just goes, ah, yes, it's the thing that I already believe in. That way it's like they're agreeing with everyone without actually making a statement.
You see, a quarry is
Like, this is effectively, imagine if I did streams and I just said, hey everyone, you know those opinions we all share and we all agree with and all, you know, that's what brings us all together is we all agree on those things? Yes, those things are good. And the things you think are bad, those things are bad. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. That's effectively what they're doing.
Open pit or site where minerals,
The vibe.
rock, stone, sand, gravel have been excavated or mined using heavy machinery. They are man-made. But what makes them significant is that the quarry walls have a strong resemblance to the mountain ranges and canyons on our planet. What if I told you that the Grand Canyon is not a natural land formation, but that it was dug out?
You'd be wrong.
It's just a long hole that was left after massive mining.
It's a long hole. Who decided we needed a long hole? You know what we need here in this inhospitable region? What if we dug a long hole? Do you mean a river? Like a river in a canyon? No. I mean long hole.
Now, keep in mind that when you dig a hole...
It was dug out, but not the way he means. He doesn't mean by erosion. He means like by a conscious being digging it.
You have to put the dirt somewhere. Could it be that something like a volcano is nothing more than a large burning landfill?
No, we actually know a lot about volcanoes. Like, volcanology is a whole ass study. It's not a refuse bin.
Or maybe deserts are nothing more than the dumping ground for quarry waste.
And maybe clouds are cotton candy, and if we get up there in a helicopter, we can have a feast. Woo!
Now, the reason I bring all of these things up, the soil, the rocks, the deserts, quarries, is to begin to paint a picture and show that the earth we live in is a deliberately terraformed, gigantic desert wasteland compared to when it started out. And also, that all the soil...
Compared to when it started out, it was a giant magma ball of like superheated rock.
And desert sand around the world may be in great part the remains or debris of ancient giant trees. So now that we got all the science crap out the way, let's get into the good stuff.
All the science crap.
Now here's the theory, plain and simple.
If that was the science crap, I'm really, really excited to hear what less than science crap you have.
Around our planet, there are hundreds of land masses known as mesas. This is an isolated hill with a flat top and very steep sides. And some believe that these mesas are actually ancient giant tree stumps.
Those people are wrong. Those people are basing that off conspiracy theory videos they saw on the internet and a complete lack of understanding of geology.
Why do they believe this?
Internet videos. The internet was a mistake. I literally have made my living on the internet for a decade, and the internet was a fucking mistake.
Because they look like giant tree stumps. Now,
Thing look like thing! If thing not thing, why look like thing? Brain and brain, what is brain?
now, that's not too hard to believe given the size of the sequoias in California.
I think it is, because, like, we're talking orders of magnitude bigger.
One in particular, General Sherman, over 2,700 years old with a 25-foot base and 275-foot height.
Yep, and yet it's a fraction of the size of a tree that you were claiming existed at one point.
It is one of the oldest living trees in the world. So,
And yet it isn't even close to the size of the trees you're claiming based on no evidence.
even if the oldest tree in the world is over 5,000 years old, then what happened to the older trees?
They died or got cut down.
These mesas look like the remains of trees that have been cut down.
Or they look like mesas. The thing they are, they look like big, flat rock formations.
Not to mention the mountains, which look like trees that have been broken off at their base.
Everything's a tree.
Now,
You're a tree and you're a tree. Everything's a tree.
if you look at something like Devil's Tower, we're talking about a tree that would have been over 19,000 feet tall. And the circumference of its base is a little over a mile long. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. If a giant or alien cut this tree down, what do they do with it? Where are the remains of the machinery or tools it took to cut such a massive tree down? And where's the rest of the tree? What did they use it for? Well,
I like that they skip the entirety of, like, actually showing what they're saying is true and just get to the implications of their wild hypothesis.
some believe
They get
that
overexcited and just assume, like, I thought of a crazy thing, it must be true, now what?
these gigantic trees were cut down, mined, and burned. So, the remains of those tree trunks and branches make up the rocks and stones we see today. And perhaps the ice caps. Imagine what type of world it must have been when these trees were still alive. I mean, these mountains and mesas do look as if they were grown. And
No, they don't. You are seeing that, you are reading that into them. That's a form of pareidolia. But that's not what they are. Just because one thing kind of looks like another thing doesn't mean they're the same thing.
instead of molded over time.
There's a hydrate command. I'll get to it in a sec. I have to go fill my glass.
Take a look at the geometrical patterns formed in these rocks. The hexagon. These hexagonal patterns occur in nature and are found all over our planet as the cross-section fibers of these ancient stumps that are everywhere. Giant's Causeway in Ireland. Is this structure carved by the elements or grown by the earth?
It's because of magma.
What about
Chitara says, speaking of artificial canyons, in my sci-fi D&D setting, there's a massive canyon that exists on one of the planets. Most people in the galaxy say it's naturally occurring, but the legends of the natives of the planet state that it was created when a massive dragon was defeated by a legendary heroine thousands of years ago. It supposedly hit the ground with such force it split the earth in two. They call it Worms Fall Canyon. Nice.
the salt flats of Bolivia? Now, I'm not saying that this is the top of a giant tree stump, but again, we have this geometric pattern throughout the flats, as if someone had laid down
The only thing with geometric patterns is trees.
tile. Look at Bell Rock in Arizona. Look at how these rocks line up, as do the trees in the forest.
What do you mean they line up? What do you mean they line up? I don't even know what that means in this context.
Russia, Ethiopia, Venezuela, Canada, Italy, Argentina, Australia, Cape Town, Africa, the US. It's not hard to find these tree stumps hidden in plain sight, folks.
Mountains. The word you're looking for is not tree stumps, it's mountains.
Once you realize that this theory could be a possible reality. Folks, this is a true mystery that I don't know if I want to keep digging into.
It's not a mystery. You're making up a problem that doesn't exist. You just learned this from another YouTube video that was making shit up, and now you're basically copying that YouTube video. There was literally no new information in this video from any of these other videos I've seen. Conspiracy theorists are so lazy, and all they do is steal from each other.
But I will. So, consider this an introduction into a new area of research.
What research? You looked at mountains and went, I think that looks like a stump. That's research? That's not what research is. My research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
And get excited, as this newfound knowledge brings us just a bit closer to the truth.
Why did that video make me so mad? Just seems like an asshole. Get some water. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Cher will tell you about Ultraman versus Kamen Rider. You're back.
We are going to show mathematically that the population worldwide in the last 1,400 years was basically zero. When the mainstream history tells us that at the exact same time period, where basically nobody was here, they were building palaces, castles, and cathedrals. And before we expose the population lie today, we have to get an understanding of how this all works, from the bottom up. Welcome to Reims, France, where we hold one of the most incredible structures in the world, and it's under investigation today. The Reims Cathedral, where we are being told that the construction of this cathedral started in the year 1211, where this is 813 years ago. Now, in the USA, they can tell us that these type of cathedrals were built in the 1800s. So they're at least trying to fit this type of construction into this mainstream timeline that we're given today. But when we go over to Europe, they just don't seem to care one bit. They throw dates around and everyone just accepted it for years. Could you imagine that next week, any city in the world tells us that one of these are going to be thrown together? I think the world would be shocked. Yet, when we are told that this was built 830...
The DVD made a thing start playing. Chair. God damn it. Oh, I don't know. I wasn't here. So I don't know what the video said. Hydrate. Can do. Anyway, what did I miss? Let me go back to the beginning of this because I missed it. Sorry.
Today, we are going to...
GamerG says, on the subject of the last video, I'm waiting on the Kavusi guy to make a connection between liquid lava coming out of volcanoes, which have the shape of, you know, yeah.
Show mathematically that the population worldwide in the last 1,400 years was basically zero. When the mainstream history tells us that at the exact same time period, where basically nobody was here, they were building palaces.
Basically nobody was here. Millions and millions of people, hundreds of millions of people. Basically no one.
Castles and cathedrals. And before we expose the population lie today, we have to get an understanding of how this all works, from the bottom up. Welcome to Reims, France, where we hold one of the most incredible structures in the world, and it's under investigation today. The Reims Cathedral, where we are being told that the construction of this cathedral started in the year 1211, where this is 813 years ago. Now, in the USA, they can tell us that these type of cathedrals were built in the 1800s. So they're at least trying to fit this type of construction into this mainstream timeline that we're given.
Those are what you showed earlier from the French cathedral and the one you're showing right now is a completely different architectural style. Does he think these are the same? Does he think that this building he's showing right here is the same as the other one he showed? Because they're very distinct in style, right? Does he just think old building is a style? Oh, God. Doesn't understand architecture on the bingo card.
Given today. But when we go over to Europe, they just don't seem to care one bit.
Once again, that's another different style. That's more classical or neoclassical. Probably neoclassical based on the clocks and stuff in it, and the bell towers.
They throw dates around, and everyone just accepted it for years. Could you imagine that next week, any city in the world tells us that one of these are going to be thrown together? I think the world would be shocked. Yet, when we are told that this was built 813 years ago, in the year 1211, we all just said, yeah, that sounds like a good year. Until now. Because we have patterns to look for, especially when a building holds the fire narrative, where we have found over 100 buildings to this point that hold a fire narrative, which is no longer...
Yeah, a lot of stuff burned down historically because of the lack of electric lighting. People had candles and gas lamps and lots of flammable stuff all the time.
mathematically possible. And this one's going to be added to the group when we are told that this cathedral in France wasn't even the first one. They had an even earlier church that was destroyed by a fire a year before construction began on this new one. And this one lasts forever. So they knocked this thing out.
Not forever. Do you think that from 1211 till now is forever? That's like 800 years and some change. That's far from forever. It won't be around forever. It's here now. Do you think now is forever?
In 80
This weird object permanence issue. Like, if you can see it right now, that means it'll last forever?
years, when, let's be honest, if we didn't have a power tool or a car or a shipping company or any architectural training processes today, do any of us actually believe that our civilization would just knock this thing out in 80 years? Realistically.
Now we're acting like 80 years is a short period of time? That's a lifetime! That's more than a lifetime back then! Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, you could build a real impressive thing in 80 years? Yes.
I'd love to know in the comments below how long you think this building would take today. I'm interested.
Your random YouTube audience's thoughts based on no information mean nothing. What is this? Who are you asking? Random conspiracy theorists on YouTube? Random assholes with no background in any of this? Who cares what they think? Their thoughts are not worth anything here.
Interested to see what you all think.
Toreador says the Notre Dame Cathedral also regularly has maintenance and cleaning and repairs on the stonework. There are literally YouTube videos of people cutting new stones and fixing grout, etc.
Especially because we're being told that this building was built over 800 years ago. The fact that we can see these buildings all over the world, they're still here. It's not like
most of them aren't. Survivorship bias, friend. Green guy with a $3 tip says he reminds me of a 5-year-old learning his grandpa was born 80 years ago. No way, fake news.
Like I'm talking about something that's a hidden mystery. We can all go there and look at it and then compare it to the buildings that we produce today, which is supposedly—
This is an old picture. This isn't even today. This is an old picture of a house made of fucking logs. What are you talking about?
Over 800 years of evolving and advancing, and it's not even close. So
did you know that a random general store did not have the time and construction put into it as a local city's main church? This was a time period, mind you, when the church basically was the government. And you're surprised that random people's houses don't have the opulence and staying power of a cathedral from the Middle fucking Ages? Ugh.
let's think about this for a second. We are supposed to believe that they had construction down, and it was perfect since the beginning of time.
No one said it was perfect! Why does he put words in people's mouths? No one is saying this is perfect! That's your aesthetic, like, that's your impression, aesthetically. That's great. If you think this is perfect, okay, great. It's just a kind of architecture. It's not perfect. No one is claiming it is.
Yet nothing else advanced. Only construction. Building palaces was the only thing the 1200s were good for, apparently.
Believe it or not, no, there's actually a lot of history. You could look into it instead of just getting mad.
The problem is that the buildings are the only thing that are left from the 1200s, which is exactly
why— You think
the
the buildings are the only things we have from the 1200s?
They're forced to make these dates up in order to try to explain them into our fabricated timeline. Whereas a car, or a watch, a phone, a plane, and a helicopter, they've all been here before as well.
Oh, spurious symbology is evidence on the bingo card. Gitara says, "Hi, professional artist, art historian, and art teacher here. We know that humans can build those buildings for at least 2 very simple reasons. 1, there's actually very well studied progression of the techniques and technology that were developed for centuries and used in the construction of multiple buildings before and after the just about any building. 2, we know that humans built these structures because, well, the building is right fucking there." And then Dillis Filler says, theory, this man is actually a being from a place without linear time, and he's trying to understand how time works, but is obstinately in disbelief. That would be nice. Better than the actual explanation. And Terradona says, what about the vast amount of documents from that era? Don't worry about it. He doesn't see those, because he spends all his time looking at YouTube videos of mud flood shit, so don't worry about it.
They just aren't built into the ground all over the world for all of us to see, when the buildings are. We are told that the designer of this cathedral was Jean de Orbais. And who
Jean!
exactly was...
Hi, Jean! Just a Peach with a $2 super chat says, beer and other food stuff came out and improved. Oh, nice.
This master designer? Starting at point guard, making his debut for the France National Historians. Jean constructed the Abbey Church, or did he find it? Where they tell us that the Abbey was found at the end of the 7th century. And don't worry, they had construction down.
Founded. The word founded and the word found are two different words.
Of course. Still there.
Jean.
In the town center today. When they go on to say 600 years later, Jean debuts building the St. Pierre St. Paul Church, where it was built between the end of the 12th century and early 13th century. And we have all of this documented, of course. No. Today, we are going to show that there
What does he mean, no? You're literally reading about it. Of course it's documented.
Were mathematically, basically, no people here in the 12th and the 13th century. A time that the mainstream history likes to tell us was knocking out palaces. So they were...
What do you mean knocking them out?
Just throwing dates around, telling us that they constructed the St. Paul Church between the end of the 12th and beginning of the 13th century, from 800 years ago. And we were all just nodding in acceptance for 200 years, with zero documentation proving this. This is all...
Jean is French John, right? It's supposed to be Jean. He's just pronouncing it in the not correct way, is basically the joke. It's spelled Jean, R-I, but it is Jean because he is French.
Based on trust. And this group that we're supposed to be trusting has proven to be pretty shady, where they tell us that the architecture is superb, particularly the facade with its 2 towers, the choir with ambulatory, with 5 radiating chapels. Interesting. And telling us that an...
Oh my god, he's gonna think radiating chapels means it radiates energy, because the Tartaria mud flood conspiracy usually involves the belief that there used to be free energy created from, like, vibrations and higher dimensions. You know, vibes-based bullshit. So he definitely reads that as radiance chambers to mean some sort of sci-fi Nikolai Tesla vibe energy nonsense. Bumble Homestead with 55 months says, do these people get confused by a foundry? I think he might. Almost on a hype train.
1835, that the population of this location was only 1,000 people. And the population of England since 1801, the exact timeline that we're talking about here worldwide, from the beginning point of this fabricated mainstream timeline, beginning around 1776, was at around 9 million people. It has...
Yeah, 9 million people's decent amount of people, sir. Oh my god, is he gonna take this back and not understand that population growth has been exponential over the last, like, century and a half at least, because of, like, modern society and medicine and inventions? So he's not going to understand when he works this backwards, it's going to be way too few people because he's going to do it linearly instead of exponentially. Oh god. Dillis Biller with 100 bits says, let's go, and kicks off a hype train, 49% to level 1. If you want to help the hype train, subscribing, gifting subs, and bits all help.
Grown to over 56 million in just the last 220 years. So
yes, those are the years of the highest population growth in human history.
if we do the math on this, the population is decreasing at a rate of 83.92%.
Oh my god, he is. He's just gonna work backwards like that. Oh my god. Androbla, thanks for 22 months.
Just the last 220 years. And this fact alone should get everyone thinking. This stat shows that in the year 1100.
Oh my god, he did! He's decreasing it linearly! I don't even like math, and I'm bad at math, and even I see that this is a problem. Oh. Androbla, thanks for 22 months. Fennikagami with 40 bits says, my guy, no one talks about the disabled man who developed insulators and conductors and that therefore laid the groundwork for Tesla decades later. The only minority anyone ever seems to want to go to bat for is, Louis Latimer. This isn't because of a conspiracy other than Edison being an asshole. It's just that if there's a group more jilted than, people of color when it comes to historical achievements, it's disabled people. Phyllis Filler, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us 20% to level 3.
41, the time period that they're talking about here, according to the math, based on data that they're providing, the population
You're
of
completely misusing the data!
England would sit at 37,898 people.
Except
in the entire
population growth isn't linear!
country.
Particularly not over the last, 200 years. Amber says, I mention this every time we cover the mud flood stuff, but it's worth hammering home at this, that at this time the church was a temporal power as much as a spiritual one. The word tithe comes from the fact that Catholics are expected to offer 1/10 of their wealth to the church. At this time, of all Central and Western Europe was Catholic in practice. Hell, the church owned what we now term the Papal States, a collection of cities that acknowledged the Pope as the absolute monarch, and that's one of 2.
Having only 37,000 people in the year 1141.
I can look up what the actual population of England was at this time, or London. Is it London? Population of London. What was this? So 1150. It's probably the closest to live numbers for, roughly. Was this London or just from England? 1 second.
7,898.
Oh no, of England. I apologize. There it is. The population of England, the closest I can get, it looks like, is 1086. Let's see. Between 4 and 5 million? It looks like actually in 1086 it was 1.5 million, but between then and 1300 it grew to 4 and 5 million. I'm not getting a specific number, but the low end I'm getting is 1.5 million. So way more than the 37,000 he has there, because again, he did the math wrong.
People in the entire country, having only 37,000 people in the year 1141, and knocking out palaces is not mathematically probable at all. You would think that there would be a
Your math was wrong. You don't get to talk about it.
single argument that goes the mainstream history's way. You would think that if their tales were true, this type of stuff would not happen. Yet, every single time you go deeper, there is yet another flaw. The worldwide population.
The flaw is user error. You are the user. You are doing the error.
Mathematically was basically.
He sounds angry about it because as far as he's concerned, he's being lied to by society at large every moment. Of course you'd be mad. He's just wrong. Minute left on the hype train.
0, based on everything that we know and have seen. In my opinion, I believe that anything before 1776 is basically fabricated. And
as we all know, history started in 1776 with the birth of America. Everything before that was a mistake. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs and saving the hype train.
An attempt to fit into this timeline that we are all in. And this is when we take it a step further and we go to Spain. And according to the worldometers.info, Spain's
35% to level 5 on the hype train.
population sits at roughly 47 million people, growing around
He's going to do the same thing. He's going to do the math wrong
18
again.
million people in the last 69 years.
Can we call that anger the CC effect? Sure, why not? When you self-delude yourself into believing you're in a world full of people all lying to you, making yourself incredibly upset. The CC effect.
This drop-off of people is so dramatic worldwide that, in my opinion, proves that the beginning of our timeline, our batch of people, was simply not that long ago. This is according to their math.
No, this is according to your misunderstanding of population growth and how it isn't linear.
Numbers that anyone in the world can go look at.
Profane Priestess with the second part of that message says, if you combine this with the church's spiritual power, i.e. the implicit notion that if you don't obey, then you damn your immortal soul, you get the greatest power in the Western world up to that point with the possible exception of Imperial Rome. It just boggles my mind that they don't understand the power the Pope wielded. Ow, psychic damage. It does suck, doesn't it? Other people's models of the world are fucking confounding to me, and I'm not going to pretend my model is great or perfect, no one's is, but like I'd like to think I'm trying to base it on material reality as often as I can. Ugh.
These people of the 12 and 1300s were supposedly also without shipping companies. They were without power tools, no light
Without
bulbs.
shipping companies? Without shipping companies, you think that throughout human history, there have not been people who have been paid to take materials from one place to another? Are you serious? Are you fucking serious?
And suffering. Again, they give us these stories of the
Does he think that the United States Post Office invented shipping? Like, he's acting like he doesn't understand that no, people have actually like shipped things from place to place for basically all of human history, as long as we've had separate groups of people to ship things between.
past and tell us that there were events. They tell us all of these things where the population was this and that. But at the end of the day, we are not 100% sure that these
No, you're just mistaken.
stories from the 1300s are true. So the only math we can go off of is what we are provided from when we are actually here and documenting it. And now we can do the same thing with the worldwide population, where the population is decreasing at a rate of 66.1765% every 69 years.
Not linearly. The time period you were looking at here is not a sample size that you could look at and go, this goes back forever. It is not a steady rate.
The rate of the population worldwide should not be increasing or decreasing by 66%. This is obviously showing that there's something going on. At this rate, 1886 would have realistically only had 928 million people, and 1817 worldwide would mathematically already have been down to 314 million people. And this is information that is provided to us.
People who are good at math must be frustrated all the time with people, because this sucks. Minute left on the hype train. 35%
Sitting
level
right
5.
here in front of our faces, where they, in my opinion, were just waiting for us to find this. At this point, I think this is a game to this group to see who can figure this
To this group. Who's the group? What group? Who are you blaming for this?
out. All of this information is all here provided with clues. All we have to do is simply look. The math doesn't lie. The worldwide
You are
population
doing math wrong! Yes, it does, because you're an idiot! Sorry, I hate doing that. I don't like to do that. I got mad. We're taking it down a notch. Calm. Calm.
would mathematically drop down to only 106 million people in 1748. In 1679, according to this math, there were only 30
People like this should learn to hate themselves more. I think it would be healthy. Rayline says the earliest organized mail service is from Egypt in 2400 BCE. Nah, that's before 1776, so it's not real. Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
5 million people here worldwide. The population in 1610 would have only been 11.8 million. 3.9 million people in 1541, and if we bring it all the way back to the year 1200, 800 years ago, the exact same year that the mainstream history is telling us all about, like they were there and saw it happening themselves. They saw those 1200s and 1300s people just smacking those stones right into place, and they're there forever. They are telling us that it was built at the end, not the beginning, but at the end of the 12th century at this rate, every 69 years, decreasing by 66% overall. Nobody is even here. Only 17,700 people worldwide, and this is all based on basic math. And
yeah, your basic math is wrong. You're going backwards linearly. I know I've said this many times, but he keeps saying it. I need to keep talking about it. I need it. Photo of this guy's math skills. I've seen that before. Funny. Where did he go? Man that I was mad at, where did you go? I need to continue to be mad at you for entertainment.
Numbers that are provided to us. And if this is true, this completely disproves these stories, these tales that people in the 13th century were building massive cathedrals. It basically puts an end to all historical narratives suggesting that a
Can I type in here? Has anyone already said this? Okay, I guess I need to type at this guy. You did the math wrong. Population increase over time has not been linear. That's all I'll say. It's not gonna matter. But it makes me feel a little better. CripplePunk91 with... Oh, that's a shame. CripplePunk91 with 200 bits says, why does this guy sound slightly like Frank from House Party? Also, hi, Hannah. I've not seen House Party.
Population of basically nobody, more specifically, 17,000 people worldwide, were as advanced or more advanced than we are today in terms of construction.
Not technologically
construction that we can still see today, yet being primitive, wearing night out.
You having an aesthetic preference does not make it superior, you narcissistic shit.
Outfits and fighting with swords, having zero power tools, no light bulbs, riding around on horses, and not having a single...
Like, unironically, it's like their entire idea of history is based on, like, tropes from movies and children's books. They have such a flat, one-dimensional view of history. To them, history is a series of costumes, you know, Roman, cowboy, astronaut. Like, it's not actual events and social movements or political dynasties. It's a series of paint you put on people in different costumes to denote a different age. Like, they genuinely don't think about history in a normal way.
Single truck to ship millions of pounds of stone. No form of communication other than using their local raven to send messages to far lands. Having provided zero factual evidence that they were ever even transporting stones. And
zero factual evidence. Sir, there is. You're just not looking at it. The fact that you're on the internet and just bullshitting. Why do you think you have seen everything? You've never gone to school for any of this.
Zero mention
Sure, Amber.
of any training processes ever, leaving this part of the story out every single time, or ever explaining how these shipping routes were all figured out. Where is the evidence that we...
What do you mean how they were figured out? People went places and fucking charted. Like, surveying is a whole ass thing. Do you know what surveying is?
Need to show
What do you think maps are for?
that their stories are true. Where is it? That civilization of nobody with nothing had the capabilities to construct castles, cathedrals, basilicas, and the rest. No. Once you actually stop and think about it for 2 seconds, it simply
Maybe take more than 2 seconds. That might actually help a little bit.
doesn't add up. The 1200s, riding by feathers and sleeping in huts, suffering in winters, yet knocking out massive cathedrals. Faster and in most cases, much better than we do today.
Incorrect on both counts. One of them is a subjective judgment. What do you mean better? Again, you aesthetically like it. Doesn't mean anything. Faster? Absolutely not. That's just objectively an insane statement. These cathedrals were built over decades and decades and decades, some of them centuries, and we can put up skyscrapers within a decade. If it's a very big one. If it's a smaller one than that, it's going to take less. So I can't even believe you're trying to claim that they could do it faster. That's an absurd statement.
And they last for thousands of years, and they survive floods, hurricanes, and the rest. And their population was mathematically
All those European hurricanes.
proven to be basically nobody. This tale that we are told is nonsense at this point. Now that we all have an understanding that the worldwide population, the math, is on our side,
No, it isn't. You just don't know how to do the math.
that this is not probable. Let's continue to our bonus today. An ancient cathedral located in Athens, Greece. A photo that was taken in 1860, 164 years ago, where we have shown that the worldwide population was just over 300 million, nowhere near
Again, you incorrectly tried to show that.
the 8 billion mark that we are told that we have today. A cathedral that was sitting on dirt. We're gonna zoom in on this thing and find something incredible. The
Fun fact, everything is sitting on dirt.
detail on the front of this building is unbelievable. We know that Tartaria's flag was a griffin. We've seen this logo on buildings all over the world, which we have even seen in episode 40 when we went to Wisconsin. As we get closer to the front of this building in Greece, we have a logo of the previous civilization. And again, these photos were taken in the 1800s in a collection by Nicholas Katsimpoulas. And here we have the Acropolis
Not stuff on bedrock or ledge. You know what I meant.
in Athens, Greece. And I was just looking at this area on Google Earth where there is another hill next to the Acropolis. I saw these stairs on the side of this hill. And it's weird because they won't let you drop the view down on them and get a closer look at them. It seems to me like
Does he not understand that in order to get closer to get a ground view of that, literally a person with like a camera backpack has to be there to take the street view pictures? Like, does he know how street view works? They're not letting the street view people walk on the ancient ruined stairs. God damn, this guy is not very intelligent. That's a shame.
this grass and dirt is covering a much larger structure that we can't see, with the stairs being exposed on the side. It looks like it's been melted, and they've just built on top of it. It's very strange. So here at the top, that's where these stairs are. And down here at the bottom is the Acropolis. So you can see how close they are to each other. And before we even look at the mainstream narrative surrounding it, it should just show anyone in a split second.
Just a Peach says, did you see Green Guy's tips? The ones from earlier? I did. Oh, I actually missed this one, I think. Green Guy said, imagine if a conspiracy theorist could focus their hyperfixations into more productive things like making pie. We would have lots of bomb-ass pies. Very, very true. I think I got the other one. Okay, I guess I did miss this one. Green Guy said this guy can't understand that us apes have been stacking rocks for tens of thousands of years and we got better at it. Just like any technology, you start off small and get better and more complex. Sorry, I missed that earlier.
Second, that this site was clearly constructed by an advanced civilization. We have detailed columns all over the place. We have some sort of stage here, and we have a main
some sort of stage. I like that he pretends he has any sort of like authoritative knowledge on anything, and then he'll just look at what I assume is a very well studied and understood like classical thing, and he'll just go, I don't know. This is a fucking amphitheater? I don't know.
stream story that should be a lot of fun for us today.
He's the kind of person that looks at pictures, thinks ideas in his head, does not check those ideas, but has decided that he has done research by forming initial, like, vibes-based opinions. That's his research, is getting intuitive notions about things he looks at.
And now that we have unlocked the advanced civilization of Mu in episode 60 and 61, that I think a lot of us enjoyed, we understand where these buildings and people most likely originated from, where Lemuria holds the name Mu inside of it, putting it right in our faces.
Was it in English?
Hill of Mu-zus, where Mu is also right in the name. Meaning
Vibes-based conspiracy? Yes, I think we
a
already
type
had
of
that.
goddess in Greek mythology. Another connection to Mu. It's very interesting. And before we go on with this mainstream narrative, I have to point this out. We all understand that these scaffolding that they have here for decades are put here to make us believe that
What do you mean they have here for... Do you mean that they're not in the same space for decades, but they're continually undergoing the process of repairing these things and trying to keep them up so they don't suffer more damage? He genuinely doesn't know how anything works. He doesn't know how anything works.
civilization is somehow helping the ancient structure survive, repairing it, when we all know that it doesn't need our help at all.
It clearly does! There's no roof on it, dipshit! Look, what do you mean, look at it? Look how it's fared without people upkeeping it! This is... What the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't have a roof! Missing its walls! What are you talking about?
This site was obviously destroyed on purpose.
No, it was. And if it was, not for the reasons you think, I don't know if this building got sacked or anything, but, like, it wasn't destroyed for the reasons you're saying. No. No.
It is not crumbling and falling apart over time. The scaffolding is, in a sense, a magic trick. It's there to make 99% of people think that our civilization is giving this place an upgrade, making our civilization...
It's not an upgrade, it's trying to at least maintain where it is now. They're not trying to alter it, they're not trying to make it look better, they're just trying to keep it at least where it is now.
Think that we are more advanced and that it needs our help, when it doesn't need our help at all. When we construct our buildings like this, and then you have the previous civilization's work towering over it, we are not evolving and we are not advancing. We have a side-by-side comparison right here.
He genuinely just doesn't know how anything works. Like, any two buildings can be compared. Like, literally, like, a gas station bathroom he can compare to, like, the Acropolis, and he finds these things to be appropriate comparisons to go, why don't they look the same?
Now that we have a solid understanding of this area and what it looks like a little bit, let's all take this thing up a notch and have some fun. We know that the population mathematically was basically nothing.
Again, your math was wrong.
In the 1200s. We've calculated it to around 17,700 people worldwide. Now, could you imagine the 600s, based on the math and the data that we've been given, at a decreasing population rate of 66.17% every 69 years, where we saw that there would have only been 11.8 million people in 1610.
How is he worse than Peter? I think he's more confident than Peter.
And 17,000 people in the year 1196. Well, I did the math, and based on the numbers that they have provided us, and based on a 66.1765% population decrease rate.
Why does he keep using that number? Because he made an average. He took the year decrease when you reverse from current day to, like, whenever that data went back from, and then he just took an average decrease in population per year and applied it backwards, which doesn't work. Because, again, population growth is not linear. It's exponential. It was blown up in 1687. What a shame.
Per 69 years, in the year 600, the population worldwide would have been 3 people.
They're all right until Carl showed up. Three's a crowd.
Meaning that either the beginning of human existence was in or around the year 644.
I like that he's so overconfident and misplaced in his thing that he gets this math and goes, ah yes, in the year 644, there were 3 people, and instead of going, ah, I must have done the math wrong, he goes, aha, see, there were only 3 people! Time started in the year 644! Like, how are you so overconfident that you don't realize you have made a mistake here? You're like, ah, yes, here we go. I've proven it. I've proven my conspiracy. I've not proven that I'm terrible at math and thinking about problem solving. Clearly, I've proven history is a lie. We did it. Nerdy says 17,000 people worldwide. Dude, there were more people than that on the Isle of Wight, and we're one of the smallest countries in England.
Based on math, or something massive happened and reset the population.
Or you don't know what you're talking about. Occam's razor. What's more likely?
Very recent. Either way, something massive is going on here that's just been uncovered, especially when the mainstream history tells us that the Acropolis of Athens, Greece, was constructed on a massive hill around the year -1300 to -1200, which we know the population worldwide would have been 0. Even if the population hasn't always decreased at 66%, the simple fact is that going back in time, the population decreases. This is proven.
Yes, but not at the rate you're positing.
Through the data that they provided us. The population in -1300, however you want to go about it, would have been 0. If you are going off the mainstream story, their data, you can say that there were plagues. You can say that there were
-1300. He probably means 1300 BC. Or maybe he just means 1300 years ago. I don't know.
These stories, when we know that these stories have massive flaws at this point, anything provided hundreds of years ago can easily be picked apart. We have done this hundreds of times at this point, based on facts.
I've done something stupid hundreds of times. Surely it must have been productive. I couldn't have wasted my time.
We can prove things that we have here right in front of us. Data. It proves to me that we aren't wrong. The population data was always a massive key for us. A key that proves that there was a previous civilization here before us. And something massive happened in this place that we all live. Right
Picture the terracotta army, because why not?
Around the year 1776, worldwide. This information, this data, that 3 people were here worldwide in the year 644. This math, it's been here. It's always been here. It's just been waiting for us to see it. And now that we all do, we can all go much, much deeper.
Okay, if anyone needs to hear this, if you ever come across something that's world-shaking and you're like, oh my god, this'll change everything, chances are you're wrong. The vast majority of human beings who have ever existed have not come across some staggering, incredible, life-changing, world-changing thing. You're most likely just missing something. Benikagami says, plagues and wars skew population growth, damn it. If we started washing our hands and purifying water sooner and weren't so obsessed with killing each other, the population of Earth would have reached 11 billion ages ago.
And so welcome all of you, almost 113,000 star seeds, light workers, and wanderers to this magical session. And today I have channeled Metatron Magnetic Consciousness to answer very interesting questions. Firstly, about does Hollywood put spells upon people? Because
no, spells aren't real. See, you didn't even need to contact the aliens. You're welcome.
There were many speculations that they were doing that. This has been revealed, as well as the truth behind. I have heard many a times that actors, who become famous, they sell their soul to the devil.
I like that they believe aliens exist and also Satan. Like, theoretically, in the same cosmology, you have demons and aliens, but also, like God, Satan, Jesus. Do all religions exist, or just Christianity and alien stuff? I don't know. Just the idea of the devil fucking with aliens is funny to me.
We want to know the truth of what is happening, which has been revealed.
I guess that is basically Doom. We're kind of describing Doom.
In this session, it's
well, no, there's no aliens in Doom, right? It's just the demons. It's just space and demons.
Pretty mind-blowing. And Metatron also revealed information about what is the difference between astral traveling and dreaming. Because many people were confused. We thought that astral travel is same as dreaming, but this session is amazing. It clears that up. in a wonderful way. And also, Metatron has answered about what will happen to those souls who are not able to graduate even after the 75,000 year cycle into the fourth density. What will happen to those souls has been described, and the Metatron...
Imagine being a dropout in a 75,000 year program. You had so many chances and you still don't graduate. What a shame.
Also stated that there will be many signs coming up on 2025. So this session is full of information, and
I'm a super-de-duper senior.
also I want to say a big thank you to all of you who participated in the recent Looking Glass event prevention meditation we did on my Patreon, and thank you all for joining. Also, a big thank you to all of you for joining my Patreon, where I have shared extra channeling sessions, around 600 plus channeling sessions, which are many of them.
Okay, get into your stupid big giant head mode.
I am Metatron, magnetic forces, magnetic consciousness now in communications through...
Fucking magnets. How do they work? Nerdy says, someone needs to call Metatron and tell him to get a better PR man. Also, I really want to see Martimer81 have to sit through this.
this channel at this timeline.
And Toreador says, John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, John Madden.
And I, Metatron, magnetic forces, magnetic consciousness shall now state and answer the queries that...
I will say this, I'm not the most successful person on the internet creating content, but at least I'm not wasting my life doing this, right? Could be worse.
Are presented today in the divine love and lights of the universal light grid programmer. Therefore, we suggest those people who shall listen to our thought forms to use inner discernment at this time-space, thereby only accepting those thoughts which truly resonate and leaving behind those thought forms which do not resonate at this timeline. Therefore, the peoples of your planet must remember that the first query related with does the so-called Hollywood societal complex of your planet put spells upon humanity, and do these so-called celebrities of your...
I'm sorry, just the slow zoom in on his own dead eyes as he's doing this is so funny.
People sell their soul complex to the so-called devil in exchange
The
of
so-called devil.
fame and success. We perceive your query and shall endeavor to answer with clarity and precision available to this instrument.
Beautiful. Just killing it. Alright, let's see what else we have. We're getting closer to the end of the stream, so we have maybe one or two more videos we're gonna look at. You ever get your ass kicked so bad conspiracy theorists think it's part of a humiliation ritual? Anyway, here's someone talking about the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight.
Boxing match, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on the 15th of November. It was a ritual, it was scripted, it was odd, it was sad, it
wasn't scripted. Mike Tyson's just, you know, like 60.
I was even pathetic. I'm just gonna...
This is why you don't give attention to shit like this. Everyone's just gonna be disappointed.
Give you an insight of I mean, you probably know more than I do, but just some photos. Let's start with the first photo. So I'm actually going to come back to this later on. The question mark there is because of censorship, because Mike Tyson has his butt open naked. But that's...
He was wearing a jock strap, so you could see his butt. I'm sure many people saw his butt. I saw his butt. Everyone saw his butt.
Against the terms and conditions of YouTube. So this is the first photo where they're doing the weigh-in. As you can see, Jake Paul is wearing pants and Tyson is wearing these Versace slips, and then he touches his well, his intimate parts. This is just to prove that,
Looks like he touches his face. Is your face an intimate part?
to make it look as if Mike Tyson is not the man, even though he's the legend, and Jake Paul is the man with the pants. I'm just gonna focus on the sexy girls because that's what I like. Cheerleaders in basketball.
I'm not gay. I'm not gay looking at this picture of Mike Tyson borderline naked next to Jake Paul shirtless. Look at these ladies. I'm very heterosexual. It's okay, man. You can look at a picture of guys we're not wearing shirts. You don't have to front. I don't care.
And the sexy girls in boxing match, they're so awesome.
Okay, I gotta go back. Genuinely, I'm not crazy, right? He literally just feels insecure that he's talking about two men with their shirts off, and he's like, "Oh, but bro, look at the ladies. I sure do love heterosexuality." Like, what a weird way to have to talk.
If Mike Tyson is not the man, even though he's the legend, and Jake Paul is the man with the pants. I'm just gonna focus on the sexy girls because that's what I like. Cheerleaders in basketball.
That's what he likes. Cheerleaders in basketball, not Mike Tyson in tight undies.
The sexy girls in boxing match, they're so awesome. Their breasts and legs and stuff. I'm a man.
Their breasts feel like a bag of sand. Their breasts, women.
So I'm just gonna focus on the girls, right? And then here we have what Jake Paul was wearing as a suit. I think it cost like $1 million, and you can see it's inspired by the Skull and Bones type secret society. It has like all. I mean,
I think it's probably inspired by like Skull and Crossbones pirate symbol.
With this one has a mask and the sculpts and everything.
He literally just said, "I'm a man." Yeah, like I'm not crazy. People are just easy to read. People are weird. People are so goddamn weird.
Than I do. The meaning of this is very important. Lots of symbology, very symbolic. But yeah, again, to make Jake Paul look good and Mike Tyson look bad, the entrance of Jake Paul in the match was, riding this expensive custom-made truck and wearing the expensive custom suit. And this was meant to show him as the sports entertainment king. Because today, boxing is not like, I'm not. I'm a fan of boxing. I'm not a fan of hitting your head with punches. That's for sure. But as a sport, I do appreciate the traditional boxing from the early days, right? And this one today is not about the sport. It's about entertainment and social media. The entrance song that was singing was the Phil Collins famous "Can You Feel It in the Air Tonight." Something like that. So yeah, it's like all about entertainment and viral stuff. And
it feels like was it at least a remix version? That is not a hype song to come out to.
Paul being the
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord.
#1 entertainment guy, YouTuber, and all that stuff. And for Mike Tyson being a legend, this was his entrance.
A call back to The Hangover. I haven't seen The Hangover since it came out, so I don't even remember that being in there. I believe you. I just don't remember it.
Confused, diminished, depressed, whatever you want to call it.
He sang it in The Hangover? Okay, yeah, I don't remember that.
The saddest moment, I guess, in his career, but he's 58 years old. A guy who's 58, the crowd, when they started fighting, the crowd noticed that, even though everybody knew it was scripted, even though they knew it was scripted, 65 million, over 60 million people tuned in to watch the match on Netflix.
Again, you can be disappointed in the match, but it's not scripted. Scripted has a specific meaning. Literally, Jake Paul picked a fighter who was incredibly famous in his day, but way out of his prime, specifically so he could beat up a former champion and be like, I beat a champion. But yeah, he's like old now. Obviously, you beat him. I don't get it.
Everybody wanted to see Mike Tyson knocking out Jake Paul. And then when the match started...
And that's the brilliance of it, in a cynical way, because he knows he's hated. He baits people by being like, you want to see me get punched in the face? And then he beats up an old man.
Everybody could see that this 58-year-old Mike Tyson is just an old guy who can barely move. And pretty much he didn't throw any good punches. Also, even the commentators were asking, why are you biting your gloves all the time? So he said he has this biting anomaly, but he looked frightened. You can see him. He doesn't look as if he was the legendary boxer anymore. Almost 60 years old. What do you expect? An old man who is not, well, feeling good doing this. But he got paid $20 million. So I guess because of being paid $20 million, it's a lot of money. I guess everybody would do it. Then when Jake Paul won the match, of course, Jake Paul had the option to knock out Mike Tyson, but the contract stated that you're not allowed to do so. At least that was a good thing about the contract. You're not allowed to knock out Mike Tyson. Well, he still won.
That's
and
hilarious.
That's why we have Mike Tyson looking the way he looks. And then Logan Paul, the guy with the jacket, is there. And then the commentator was asking Mike Tyson, now that you've lost against Jake Paul, what's next for you? And then Mike Tyson said, I could take on Logan Paul, the brother of Jake Paul. And then Logan Paul replied saying, the M word, the MF word, mother, you know what? The K word, Mike, right? So yeah, all to do with sport and virality.
You can say fuck on the internet.
I would like to see Jake Paul and Logan Paul fighting against Mike Tyson in his prime. Or I would like to see Jake Paul.
All right, get a time machine. That was never on the table.
Logan Paul fighting against a current boxer in his prime, a current active boxer in his 20s.
Okay, he's not going to do that because he's literally doing this as self-promotion. It's a grift.
30s. I would like to see you guys.
If he wanted to actually be a decent boxer, he'd go up against like people that are ranked, but he doesn't do that because he knows it'll make him look like shit.
So cool, Jake Paul and Logan Paul. But I would like to see in a proper boxing match, in a proper fight. And then this picture here, unfortunately, this is also part of the ritual.
Not part of any ritual. He's just a guy who's been in sports for decades and doesn't give a shit. He's in a locker room. Why would he give a shit if people see his ass? He's Mike Tyson.
The guy wearing the white thing is Mike Tyson's son, who is also, well, pretty old, let's say so. I mean, he's probably in his early 40s or late 30s. And this was all about, because Mike Tyson has his butt naked here. So, I mean, come on, for a man who is supposed to be Iron Mike, a legendary boxer and masculine.
I'm sorry, is the world champ not allowed to have an ass? What?
Guy to have his butt naked.
No, you fucking can't say fuck on the internet. What are you fucking doing? True.
In front of his son. That's like a humiliation thing for the father,
It's
right?
really not.
I mean, a dad would never do this in front of his own son. Whether like...
You've never seen... Never mind. I'm not even gonna...
They made Jake Paul look so cool and so awesome. So yeah, that's why even though everybody knew that it's scripted and it's for the sake of virality and views, I mean, more than 60 million people just to watch this, imagine. I guess the big majority of people just want to watch this
go into humiliation ritual? That's what he's implying. He's saying his son being there where he showed his butt is a humiliation ritual.
And they surely did want to see Mike Tyson kick Jake Paul's ass, but it didn't happen because it was scripted. So because
not scripted,
everything is scripted and everything is made by and financed by Zulu Janemba. I'm censoring myself. It's sad, it's depressing, and it was really depressing to see Mike Tyson as a 58-year-old guy doing this, even though he did get his money, $20 million. So just let's focus as a guy. I'm going to focus on the beautiful ladies. They're gorgeous. They're so fit and hot, and they do gym work, and they take care of their nutrition and their food. So yeah, they look really amazing. Especially
he's really trying to figure out how do people talk about attractive women, isn't he?
Hot, and they do gym work, and they take care of their nutrition and their food. So yeah, they look really amazing. Especially
they look really amazing.
We have variety. We have pretty much those four represent the races of humanity. So
whoa, fucking what? Why at the last thing do you have to say the weirdest Nazi shit? Come on, what the fuck? Come on, man.
Yeah, and see you in the next video. Take care.
That is the guy who begged. He believes that there are secretly Nazis in Antarctica That's the guy that begged the Antarctic Nazis to come save him. So, like, I'm not surprised. He's an awful person. But, like, Jesus. You'd think he'd know not to say it, you know?
Look, I am showing you different parts of the world. Now let's see some photos and then you can come to your own conclusions based on the reality of the real world. Look, you would say, you're holding a piece of meat. Is it a piece of meat? No.
No, I'm pretty sure that's like Himalayan pink salt or another something with like iron that gives it its color. He's gonna say it's meat though.
Oh, it is a rock. This reminds me of something. The red and the white. Meat and fat. I know. I'm just showing you rocks. This is the Himalaya mountains. The Himalaya and the salt. You know, the Himalayan salt. You go to your bioorganic shop and you buy expensive Himalayan salt, which is more expensive because it's pure. So I go into these mines, into these salt mines. Cocina means kitchen in Spanish, in case you wonder. And it looks the same. I mean, will you use this in our kitchen? The Himalayan salt, very good for your health. I wonder why.
What are any better or worse for you than other kinds of salt? It's just salt. It's salt. Like, don't get me wrong, it's chemically slightly different. It does have iron or whatever in it to give it the color, but like, it's just salt.
Eating. And why does this look so familiar? This reminds me, these colors, this red and white stripes.
New headcanon for Himalayan mountains. I was wondering if he was going for hemo as in, you know, like related to blood.
Reminds me of something I see in the supermarket. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to remember here. I'm just gonna try.
Once again, thing looks like thing. They must be the same thing, right?
In the next few seconds to remember, where do I see these things? This is of course in the Himalayas. Then we have the, well, in this case we have the Indians and the people around that area. We also have the Chinese. And I know I've seen this before. It reminds me of the stuff I cut in the kitchen with the knives when I want to prepare something like barbecue. We have to barbecue. And these are rocks. Okay, now let's see.
I just want to see him talk about women again. That was the funniest thing. All right. I think I'm done with him for now. Someone did do a conspiracy thing about this Star Trek short film that I enjoyed personally. That's a little long, so I'll probably save that for next time. Yeah.
Beloved light bearers of Earth, I am Valir of the Pleiadian Collective, and I greet you today with deep love as your planet nears its ascension. Beloved ones, I greet you in the midst of rapid change unfolding across your beloved Earth. For countless cycles, prophecies have spoken of a world on the brink of transformation, a planet ready to soften its heart, break free from duality, and reclaim its divine origins. We are excited to announce that time is here. Miracles, surprises, and events beyond expectation are emerging to awaken new pathways of potential within humanity. This transformation reveals the divine truth of your being.
Oh wow, this is bad word salad.
Dismantling illusions and guiding you into alignment with your soul's essence.
That doesn't mean anything.
Vibration is rising, your light is strengthening, and your consciousness expanding, touching the collective with every step of your evolution. DNA, the divine architecture of life, is at the heart of this transformation. It is your multidimensional blueprint that connects you to the cosmos, and this sacred design is undergoing daily changes now, driven by the influx of higher cosmic frequencies. The magnetic grid of Earth, intricately tied to human consciousness, has just shifted once again to align with these evolutionary energies, positioning your planet to receive the codes of ascension. Your solar system now resides in a new region of space, bathed in radiation that activates dormant aspects of your DNA. These frequencies awaken crystalline structures within you.
What are the chances they're right and we're the crazy ones? Low.
Enabling higher consciousness to manifest.
Never zero, but low.
This is no subtle change, but a recalibration of your entire being, preparing you to embody the full spectrum of divine light. The journey demands a new way of being, one that transcends fear and limitation and embraces synchronicity as a guiding principle. Yes, once again, we mention what you call synchronicities. They are not random events, my friends. They are divine messages, aligning you with your soul's GPS.
Your soul's GPS. God, what is this called when you start connecting? There's a specific word for it, and I always forget it. I feel like it starts with an A. It's a word that happens in delusional thinking. It happens in schizophrenia when you're developing it, where you start making connections between things where there is none. Basically arbitrary nonsense connections. Does anyone remember what the word for that is?
Trust them and allow them to guide your path.
Apophenia. Thank you. I always forget that word. Apophenia, apophenia, apophenia.
More and more now. There will always be those who try to explain things away rationally, but we remind you that Prime Creator did not create anything rationally.
Everyone keeps trying to be rational, but have you considered nothing is rational? Checkmate, Enlightenment thinkers, you fucks.
The Creator's brick and mortar is love and magic and miracles. The moments you are set to experience more and more of are the stepping stones to miracles, revealing the vast potential that lies within you. Many of you are feeling the strain of this transformation, the discomfort of leaving behind the old as you step into the new. Yet this is the process of your being recalibrating to align with truth. The veils of separation and limitation are dissolved.
Is syncretism a form of apophenia? It could be, because you're taking things and trying to say things that are similar or that appear similar to you are part of the same thing being discussed. I could certainly see that, yeah.
Exposing the eternal oneness that has always been your essence. Your thoughts, intentions, and actions create the fabric of existence, much more that you realized, and you are now waking up to this reality, shaping the collective experience of humanity. So, this message is yet again a call to awaken the divine memory encoded within your DNA and reclaim your power as eternal beings of light.
I think I would be horrified to learn the actual statistic on this, but I'm starting to think that there's a good portion of the population that's just completely disassociated from reality at virtually every level, most of the time. And that's probably not healthy. Like, I deal with disassociative issues myself, but, like, I am able, most of the time, to ground myself in reality, you know? Feels like a lot of people aren't doing a very good job, and instead of seeking help, they're looking for woo-woo solutions that make them feel, I don't know, significant or something, or make them the chosen one, or give them special powers. I don't know.
The Earth herself ascends with you, supported by her own cosmic guardians. The systems of control and division are collapsing, clearing the way for harmony and love to thrive. And this is going to accelerate as you head into your year of 2025. You are witnessing the unraveling of old paradigms, the dissolution of structures that no longer serve humanity's highest good. This is not a time to fear, but a time to celebrate, for it signifies the return to oneness. You are not separate from the divine, but a vital part of its infinite expression.
Okay, well, I'm not on mushrooms right now, so that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about the lost ones, and I came across a phenomenon that I had never heard about before, and it's a little disturbing, but just ties in potentially to our lost history, so I thought I'd cover it. So let's get into it now. It all started for me by seeing this image, which apparently went viral in 2023, so I'm a little late to the party with regards to this image, but it was showing Leonardo DiCaprio holding a baby in a jar. So I thought that was very bizarre. So
You've never seen a baby in a jar before? There's lots of old weird medical things that you can look at. A lot of museums have them. Pretty macabre museums, but yeah, that's a thing.
Just went down a few rabbit holes and found out that this is a phenomenon that goes back centuries, actually. And there is a term for these fetuses, these human fetuses in jars. And
yeah, they're like specimens that were used for like education or, doctors had.
It's called pickled punks. Not a fan of the term, but just a definition. Pickled punks is the carny term for human fetuses preserved in jars of formaldehyde and used as sideshow attractions, if you can believe that. And
I would imagine that's the term that carnies use. That wasn't what they were used for necessarily initially, but I can see them being sold to carnivals.
Most of these,
after they have their usefulness, done at medical schools or whatever.
Pickled punks display some sort of...
Yeah, the one on the left looks like a wax something or some other material, but I don't know.
Abnormality, such as conjoined twins or polycephaly. So, just bizarre. I'd never seen this before, and I didn't realize the depths to which this phenomenon has occurred in our past. So, looking into a bit of the history...
That cursor isn't mine, by the way. That's his cursor on screen in the middle being annoying. Just want to point that out.
You can find that this goes back to the 1500s with this individual, Ulysses Aldrovandi, an Italian naturalist who, according to the narrative, he had a collection consisting of 18,000 of these specimens in jars, and just unbelievable. And then if you go into the 1600s, you have Frederick III of Denmark, King of Denmark and Norway, in the middle of the 1600s primarily, but he had a personal collection of these pickled punks numbering in the thousands. Just weird. And there's this great modern showman called Ward Hall who once had one of the largest what's being referred to as punk shows in the United States. And during one season, he was fined because the display of human remains was illegal in the state in which he had set up his show. So this was one of these, roadside attractions. And, where have we seen this before with the infantoriums, children, live babies that people could go and watch?
Empty Dur, there's the thing you were talking about.
For some reason, and I understand times are different, but this seems like it's crossing several lines. And there's even, to this day, there are...
Sorry, you're surprised someone in the past did something that you're kind of like, oh, that's weird, or like, oh, that wouldn't fly today. Like, yeah, that's a lot of history for you.
Exhibits in a couple of museums that I'm aware of. One is a museum in St. Petersburg in Russia, and I believe the exhibit is called Monsters. There was an article called Peter the Great's Monsters. In this museum, I believe it was established by Peter the Great and completed, we're told, in 1727, so in the 1700s. And you can go and look at these baby fetuses preserved in jars, and I don't know what else to say about it, just disturbing. But there was an article talking about...
Right, what's the conspiracy?
Some of this person who went to go see this particular exhibit, and he was just saying the most interesting part, or at least the most notorious part, is the third floor exhibit, Monsters, and this is where one can find displays lined with countless glass jars containing malformed fetuses, both human and otherwise. So just disturbing images. And there's, I believe, a museum in Philadelphia in the United States, which has a lot of interesting exhibits, but it also has one of these pickled punk exhibits. And here's just one image from that. So just weird. Now, I think there might be a tie-in to this Cabbage Patch Kid phenomenon that has been covered.
Another person with the Cabbage Patch Kids. Again,
by Mind Unveiled, done a great job there, and he's put out a bunch of videos, which if you haven't seen them, go check them out. But he mentions how, in addition to the phenomenon of the Cabbage Patch Kids, the dolls from 1983, I believe, he also uncovered that there were these, if you go back even further into like the late 1800s, turn of the century, you had these postcards which showed children.
Yes, children being grown in cabbage patches was a trope akin to like when a kid says, "Where do babies come from?" "Oh, the stork brings them." "Oh, they're grown in a cabbage patch." It was like an old wives' tale, a folk tale, a saying. It was just like a cultural thing. The Cabbage Patch Kids were based on that. They're not completely separate, but it's not a contrived, like, intentional psyop either. It's just like a thing happened, was a cultural thing, someone else picked up on it decades later and used it as a premise for a toy. Not a conspiracy.
Children and our babies in cabbage patches, as well as like a couple of black and white movies. So it seems to be a phenomenon that goes back. Well, he pointed out in one of his videos at the end of it, he mentioned these trading cards that came out, I believe in 1985. They were released, called the trading cards, featured what are known as the Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, they were also stickers.
And again, it's a series of sticker trading cards, and it was designed to parody the Cabbage Patch Kids dolls. Now, the thing about the depictions of these kids, these Garbage Pails Kids, is that, here's some of the cards, is that each sticker card features a Garbage Pail Kid character having some, their words not mine, comical abnormality,
Yeah. Yep, kids like gross stuff.
deformity, and or suffering a terribly painful fate or death. So again, when you look at the actual...
You think there's no relation, sir. There's no relation between these two things. You're making a connection that you could make if you want, but there's no actual connection between the two.
Phenomenon, and then you look at these Garbage Pail Kids, it's just
Look at
weird.
him flip back and forth like it's the same thing.
You know, because I think
no, man,
that might be
not even
happening
close.
with the Cabbage Patch Kid phenomenon. You know, it's just a way to put it in our face and maybe obscure whatever was really happening, mocking us maybe, or just obscuring what has been done in the past. Just weird, and I think there's definitely a connection to this rollout of some of these things like the Garbage Pail Kids, Cabbage Patch Kids, and just a lot of weird visuals when you
I kind of love that advertisement.
Look into this
Very
subject, and here's just some of the weird visuals. But I believe they even came out with a movie for the Garbage Pail Kids in 1987.
We can do anything by working with each other. La 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 la. La 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 la.
In a TV series.
They don't release Garbage Pail Kids on 4K. I'm going to commit Sudoku.
In 1988, and there might have even been
Anna
some
mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card.
Reboots, but yeah, just a weird rabbit hole that started for me anyway by seeing this image and going down.
It's not incredible. Well, it is incredible alt fact, and it's incredibly bad. Garbage Pail Kids is a really bad movie. Kind of entertainingly bad, in my opinion, but it's pretty painful, too.
Down that
the main kid's name is Dodger, and he's into this girl who's definitely too old for him. It's very weird.
Rabbit hole, so I just kind of wanted to share this with you guys, and just wanted to...
It did get a movie, and all the Garbage Pail Kids get sent to the state home for the ugly.
Finish up here, speaking of rabbit holes and orphans, inevitably you come across the Oddfellows, and I saw this one medallion, and I believe it's from the Daughters of Rebecca, which is a branch of the Oddfellows, and I was just drawn to this beehive, which is featured prominently on this medallion. And looking into that a little bit, I just came across that apparently, according to the Book of Mormon, Deseret meant honeybee in the language of the Jaredites. And I guess the word Deseret appears twice on the Utah stone at the Washington Monument. So I started looking into Deseret, and I wasn't aware of this history, so I'm just kind of, there might be some other people unaware. Apparently the state of Deseret was a proposed state of the United States promoted by leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which I guess this state was founded in 1849. It didn't succeed in gaining statehood, obviously, but there were some proposals, and I guess The beehive symbol is used on Utah's state root shield. And again, the beehive symbol often associated with Deseret. Yeah, just a little
I'm
rabbit.
sure you could find many things. This is why I hate they treat symbols as these concrete things, as if one person using a beehive symbol for one thing means all beehives are associated with that thing. No, a symbol and what it symbolizes are not inherently linked. The link comes from the observer. A beehive can mean whatever you, the viewer, link to it. These things can line up because we have cultural associations that are like taught to us or that we learn growing up, but it's not objective.
Hole I just wanted to share here at the end with you guys, but I think that's about all I got for you for today. Just wanted to share a little bit, and I think I'll sign off here, but I want to give a big shout out to my channel members. Thank you for all your help and support. It's greatly appreciated, as well as my patrons. I really appreciate everything that you do. Thank you very much. So with that being said, until next time, take care. Bye.
Oh, another Tinfoil Tuesday. Come and gone. Where does the time go? Let's see if there's any cleanse or anything we can do before we call it a night, shall we? Oh, Delete Law's got his channel deleted. Just so you know, if anyone cares about that, there's an update on Delete Laws. His channel got deleted because someone got into his account and played gay pornography on live stream. Which, like, I hate Delete Laws, but that's, you know, that's not his fault. But still, damn. He did get it back. I know he had a second channel that he was using. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it back yet, but it was deleted briefly. Yeah. Alright, is there anything? I don't know if there's anything, at least immediately, that I need to watch. So we'll just do a raid. Let's see who we're going to raid on Twitch. We'll raid Surus. I don't think we've raided Surus in a little bit.
Mount up.
I hope you all have a great night. I will be back tomorrow. Status of the videotapes. I still have them. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible person. I know I need to watch them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. I will record them. I'm sorry. Alright, anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll be back. There was something I was looking into what I wanted to cover tomorrow, but I forgot what it was. But I found some video series that I thought was weird. Oh, I might have wanted to watch some Estes Perkel films, but I'm not sure. Either way, have a great night, everyone. I'll see you soon. If I don't see you, and if you're from the States or in the States, have a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. And that's it. Have a great night, everyone. Bye. Check your P.O. box. Will do. Adios.